are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hey, everybody! Welcome back to another exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you doing, everyone? I hope you are doing well, and I hope you are all having a very wonderful weekend. I know that I certainly have. And on today's episode, by the way, you can all hear me, right? I just want to double check if everything is fine so far, because there may be a little bit of a chance that maybe some connection issues may occur, but you know what? Let's hope for the best, and maybe so far the connection can be a bit fine. But anyways, yes, this is going to be a very special episode because I actually got a special guest star with me. Yes, I got the animation extraordinaire, well, the animator extraordinaire, actually, coming back with us because he has a lot of very interesting point of views that he would like to share with us. So please welcome back to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, Logan. Logan, what's up, dude?
Oh, you know, ceilings, lights, all that stuff.
Oh, really?
No,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
You gotta start with that. You gotta start with that now.
Hey, this is a crazy podcast, so you gotta start off somehow crazy.
Start off with something crazy and something that we've heard so many times before.
What can I say? Some jokes are meant to be predictable. But anyways, I've been doing very well, Matt. Thank you for having me on board, even though it's kind of like more of my idea of subjecting me to be part of this podcast this week because of stories we'll talk about very soon.
Oh, yes. Like, considering that we got a whole bunch of amazing stories that we got to get into today, like especially a few certain ones that you have actually contacted me to say, yo, we got to talk about this. Like, you have a lot of thoughts that you need to express. And I feel like so far this is going to be one heck of a memorable episode. So, with that said and done, Logan, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast?
Oh, you know it. I got my bang just in case.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, Chadwell, now that we are back in order, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it. Okay, yes, beautiful, perfect. People are prepared. People are set. I don't think we'll be experiencing lags anymore. And now it is time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story, Logan, this is probably the reason why you are here. It's because of the first story that we got to talk about.
Yep, that's for sure. I mean, I'm ready. Or at least I'll try to be ready.
All right, so I think with all that said, there's no need for any more introduction. So let's go ahead and begin with our first story as we go and discuss about the second trailer for Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers.
What's the first thing that pops into your head when I say Chip and Dale? I bet it's these guys! But certainly the second would be those rascally cartoon chipmunks, Chip and Dale. What if I did something like,
I am into nuts.
Good, I love it.
Great stuff.
Woo! Just want to remind you guys I'll be at FanCon this afternoon. Hey, watch out! I'm keeping myself fit and, you know, my updated modern look.
Don't you think you'd have more fans here if Chip did these events with you?
I hadn't thought about him in a while. I should give him a call. See how life's treating him.
Life is the worst, which is why you need good insurance. A message on my landline. I don't like that.
I know you're still mad about Rescue Rangers getting canceled, but I've just got a call from the police, and I need your help.
That my best friend. She always
I searched the perimeter. No clues.
Why would there be? 6 missing tunes in a month and not one clue.
Oh, no!
She been down since the
Chip, Dale, you look different.
It's no secret I had the CGI surgery. What's been up with you?
You know, this, that, other vague things to fill the space of this conversation.
Cool.
We can see what we can find out and then pass it along to the officer. That's all we're gonna do.
So you're saying the Rescue Rangers are back? Yes!
You two come poking around where you don't belong, and I can't have that.
Run!
I got him! What are you looking at?
Honestly, your weird dead eyes.
Over here!
Go get him!
This is awesome!
I was always more of an Alvin and the Chipmunks person.
You monster.
It was like professional. Same time. Jinx! You owe me a non-brand specific cola. What? That was crazy! Somebody call Guinness Book! This is incredible! Oh, we lost it.
And that is the trailer for Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, which is actually coming very soon, folks, in which it will be coming out on May 20th, so in a few weeks. So, Logan, I noticed that you've been quite excited for this, or that you have a lot to say about this thing, but... Oh, I just got a subscriber. Thank you very much, Jay Monty. But anyways, as I was saying, there is one thing that I just need to say. To paraphrase Dr. Doofenshmirtz, if I had a nickel for every time I had someone who was very eager to be a special guest star in my podcast just so they could talk about the trailer of Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. So
Wait, they're eager about this trailer too?
Yes, you know Joey Tedesco? You know Joey of Cartoon Palooza?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did the exact same thing where he contacted me and he told me, dude, we gotta talk about the Chip and Dale trailer. We need to talk about this.
Oh man, that is funny.
Oh yeah.
Imagine, okay, I know we're getting close to the release date, but I could imagine if they released like a 3rd trailer. Here's hoping, like 3rd time's a charm. Maybe somebody else will contact you about it. But
Who knows?
I just thought that's really funny. But anyways, Matt,
Yes.
I'm going to be honest. People are so mixed about this idea. Some love it, some absolutely hate it. I'm in that category where I freaking love this trailer, or all these trailers. And here's the thing about it. I know it's going to be stupid. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure the story itself may not be that great. I mean, it could be. Who knows? But the thing here's the thing. I love the idea of taking all these different animation genres and putting it into one setting. Like, that screams potential to me, that you can make it really work and make it really clever, and how it can be like a commentary on how like different animation styles are being represented. And I want to, and another thing too is that one of my all-time favorite movies is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I love everything about that film, is because of the stories, the characters, and all that stuff, and especially the way they executed the whole hand-drawn meets real world. I just love everything about it. And seeing the trailers. Okay, so funny story. When I first saw the first trailer, my mind basically exploded. Like, my mind couldn't process what I just watched, to the point where, like, it's hard for me to focus on what was everything else that day, because my mind was, like, so dedicated to know more about this film, this trailer that I just witnessed. Like, this is so amazing. Words cannot describe it. Because it's just a cool idea, just seeing all these different like animation like different types of animations all together in one world. You can tell I'm really excited because I'm like stumbling on my words. So it's just this really cool seeing this being executed. But I do understand why people are not fond of this movie. And I guess the main reason why that is because why Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers in general? Like, why that IP in specific? And I feel like if they would have went with more original characters, people won't be like, I mean, yeah, they'll still look at this film and be like, I don't know, but they won't. I feel they won't be like that upset about it because it's kind of weird, like taking like this already existing IP and go very meta with it. Like when you think Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, like you think it'll be like this. If they were to make a movie about it, you think like, oh, it's going to be like this huge grand adventure where they're going to fight off big or fat cat for the last time. He got this like most evil plan ever. Nope. Let's make it meta. Let's make it like they're actors. They're living the life. They lost their reputation and all that stuff. And yeah, I get that aspect, but I'm sorry. Like even whether it be like IP based or not IP based, this is just a cool idea. Like I watched those trailers so many times, and I'm still amazed by what I just watched. Especially for something that's like direct to streaming. Like I still think like what is presented here, it just fascinates me. And yeah. I just freaking love this. Yeah, I'm sorry.
the funny thing is that I've had some friends that we have discussed about this before, and we felt like with the idea that they are presented, like in terms of the question of having Chip and Dale be the main subject of this, like we did agree that this would have made sense if this were more of a Bonkers movie, like literally like have it be based on the show Bonkers, and it would make a lot more sense with the tone that they're going in, and especially the world, considering that Bonkers is kind of like a spiritual successor of Roger Rabbit of sorts. So like yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I never thought of that. Like that would actually make more sense. But Bonkers is not popular, so Chip and Dale, they'll work. It's close enough.
Yeah, good point. Now, one thing I will say, I'm sorry, Logan, but I don't think I'm really on the same page as you. Now, one thing I will say right now is that I get it. I understand why people are very much excited about this because number one, like the idea of like this Roger Rabbit sequel of like the modern like mix of like real world and cartoon characters all living together and the plethora of different cameos. I understand it's always a lot of fun to go and see, especially in this trailer in particular, where we've seen like tons and tons and tons of surprising cameos. Like even like just a few examples, like right at the beginning, you actually see, like, I forgot her name, but you see the mom from Phineas and Ferb, that she is actually on the side. We got cameos from like Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast. We got Flounder from The Little Mermaid. Also, like, there's one that not many people talk about, but this is Baloo. Like, we see the one clip at the fan con. It's actually Baloo, and like we see his band. Like, case in point, you see like on the drum, it actually says Baloo. And not to mention, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I didn't notice that at first, so somebody like brought it up. It's like, holy crap, it is Baloo from the 2016 film.
Yeah, and not to mention, I just need to go and find it, but there's like the one quick shot where you see like all the different pieces. Yeah, this one. Like all the different pieces of cartoon characters where you see elements such as, like, you see Robin Hood's hat, you see Jiminy Cricket's hat, you see a Keyblade, but you also see like a bunch of non-Disney stuff, including you see Jimmy Neutron's hair, you see the Smurf hat, you see Rocky's helmet, you see the Pink Panther's mouth. Like, you got a whole bunch of different like cartoon cameos that you wouldn't even expect in something like this. So like,
also not just like, oh, sorry, not mean to interrupt, but also like you got some very like obscure characters too. Like, going back to the list, like there's some like pieces of like real monsters. Bartok's ears from Anastasia. Like, they're not going for like the more popular characters. They're going like the more obscure types that you will never think about. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, like they got a major list of like different cameos that they got, even like for non-Disney stuff.
Yeah, that's what surprised me the most out of this. Like, yeah, I was expecting the Disney cameos, not so much the non-Disney cameos. Like, that took me by surprise. Like, with not just like the what's on that list there, but also like you got Scat Cat, the My Little Pony characters. Like, who knows who else are going to throw in there?
Oh yeah, like like it really is the kind of movie where like you never know what kind of cameos you're experiencing. And also one thing that I did like in the trailer is to see like the different array of like animation mediums. Now previously when I talked about this, like I did criticize about how the main characters that are supposed to be 2D, it's obviously cel shaded CG, which doesn't really work in terms of the joke of like, oh, Chip is supposed to be 2D and Dale is like fully 3D. Like in terms of like what they want to do with that, it just doesn't seem to make sense with the technology of how they build those like more prominent 2D characters of sorts. But I do like how like they build all the different like 2D characters. Even the CG, I will admit, is actually not that bad. Like surprisingly, even Dale actually looks pretty good with his CG transformation. I will give him that. And especially even the Gumby parody where you got like the Gumby detective like adding in some stop motion, that I find to be a nice additional touch. Or at least I think it's stop motion, or it's probably like that Lego movie technique where it's actually CG but it's built in the style of stop motion.
Either way, I approve the stop motion of that Gumby character. I especially like the part where he's like scrapes a part of him to keep that fingerprints. I just thought that was pretty clever.
Oh yeah, and there is one joke that I actually did like, and it's actually right in the middle where you see like the Seth Rogen dwarf following Chip and Dale, and then suddenly encounters like he suddenly meets up with the live action Pumbaa from 2019, or like the quote unquote live action Pumbaa from 2019's Lion King. Okay, that I will admit is one meta joke that I actually find to be pretty funny. Like that joke was pretty good.
Yeah, I that threw me by surprise. Like they're not sticking towards just like traditional anime characters. They're just wanting like all these different cameos. Like that one like took me like the most surprise. Like, oh my god, they're seriously going there. It's so great.
Yeah, but with that said, even though I do understand that, everything else though, I'm just not it's just not vibing with me. It's just like when you look past all the cameos, when you look past all the novelty aspects, what do you get as a movie? And I feel like you don't really get that much. I'm not really gelling with like the narrative that they're going with. It feels like, again, we're kind of repeating Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like with the mystery of like the missing tunes and stuff like that. And then there is also the meta humor where like, yeah, the Pumbaa joke works, but then like the other jokes that they try to put up is just like, it's not really working for me. It's not really that great. And honestly, like the whole tone of it, it's just, it doesn't necessarily feel as like, it doesn't feel fun, where it feels more mean-spirited, cynical, more so than it is actually fun. And probably a good example, and this is one thing I would love to know your thoughts about it, and that is regards to a character named Mean Dean. And if you don't know who Mean Dean is, he is the middle-aged Peter Pan that we actually see right over here. And funny enough, on Twitter, this Peter Pan actually got into a lot of controversy, especially to what happened to the original actor that played Disney's Peter Pan, Bobby Driscoll. And it's honestly a sad tale. Just to quickly summarize, 2 weeks after the release of Disney's Peter Pan, Bobby Driscoll's contract with Disney was officially cut off. Like, he was pretty much fired from Disney because, well, he's no longer the cute little boy that he was, like in Song of the South and Treasure Island. And from there, his life just went in an immediate downward spiral that included a lot of alcoholism and drug abuse, where unfortunately he passed away at the age of 31. And some people did not like the representation of the middle-aged Peter Pan that they got here, even though it's meant for a joke. And I'll say right now, it's obvious that the filmmakers who did this, like, they didn't do this on purpose per se, but it's just the joke of it feels like it's in bad taste to what happened to Bobby Driscoll. And Logan, I would like to know your thoughts on that.
I'll be honest, when I first saw him in that trailer, I didn't really think much about it. I just viewed that as like, well, first off, having like Peter Pan be like the bad guy seems kind of like weird to put in a Chip and Dale movie, but I just see that as like, oh, it's funny because you're taking this beloved character in terms of the villain, which surprisingly enough, this isn't the first time Disney has made Peter Pan to a villain. Have you watched Once Upon a Time?
Oh, I've heard about... No, I haven't, but I did hear apparently he was the bad guy. And it does make sense considering that Hook is apparently one of the more prominent characters in the show.
Oh, yeah. He's like one of the main characters, starting with season 2. Like, Peter Pan was the main villain in season 3, and that was the last season I watched because after that, it got sillier, per se. But yeah, the most I remember from that is like he was the main villain of season 3. I forget what his motivations were, but I do remember that in that version, he's the father of Rumpelstiltskin, which, yeah, it's weird. But no, I just find that interesting that this is like the second time that Disney has portrayed Peter Pan as his bad guy, which I can't really say that this is like the official Peter Pan or not, because you mentioned his name is Mean Dean. Mm-hmm. And according to Wikipedia, it says he's a clone of Peter Pan, so I'm not sure where they're going with this. But anyways, in regards to the whole controversy, yeah, I didn't really think about it first, but once Twitter did bring that up, it is kind of like really like, yeah, again, like it's not the intentional for the filmmakers to make that connection, but it does put you like in this awkward situation. It was like, oh yeah, that happened. Because what happened to Bobby was very tragic. And that's in one of those cases where it's like, it's just like one of those like sad like stories to hear about like just teen actors in general. Like it's just kids don't be actors.
Yeah. I know the actor's life is so alluring, but really have a childhood first, then become an actor.
Exactly. Yeah. Cause you hear like so many like tragic tales about like these teen actors and what they have to go through with. And unfortunately, these lessons are never been learned today. Like, I'm sure, Matt, you're aware about the whole Dan Schneider's incident with Nickelodeon and how truly awful those actors went through because of that asshole. It's just so sad. So it's just like, so I was gonna say before this podcast, I did watch like a brief like documentary sorts on YouTube about Bobby Driscoll, and yeah, it's bad. Like just after Peter Pan, he basically just like sank low, and it's really unfortunate because like nobody would hire him because he's not quote unquote TV pretty or movie pretty anymore, and that just shows how messed up not just with current Hollywood but Hollywood in general, how messed up it could like affect somebody. Like I don't have to remind you about Wizard of Oz, like that whole mess.
Oh boy, yeah. That's like a whole story in itself right there.
Exactly. But with all that being said, I get where people are coming from, but this is one of those cases where I think like some people are kind of like, I hate to say this, but overthinking the situation a little bit. Because yeah, it is basically terrible, but at the same time, it's like, I don't think that's like the main intention for this film to portray Peter Pan as such. I mean, like I said, it could not be, I mean, maybe it's not Peter Pan. It could be like a clone of Peter Pan, but I mean, like I said, I watched that trailer not thinking about the whole Bobby Driscoll situation, but once Twitter mentioned it, it's like, yeah, it is in poor taste in a way, but at the same time, I don't think people are going to make that connection in a way. But I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those cases where it's like some people might be overthinking this just a little bit, but I can't really blame them for that because I'm somebody that tends to overthink things a lot, like a lot.
Yeah, like honestly, I do agree with you in a way because like I know this is not the intentions of the filmmakers to go and portray Peter Pan or Mean Dean in this fashion. Like I don't think they're doing it to mock Bobby Driscoll, and like I think it's easy like to separate like what happened to Bobby Driscoll and what they want to do with the movie. That I get it, but it's more the fact that like considering how this does remind people of this, it's like it's not really doing it any favors. You know, it's like kind of it's still like a minus point for the movie for the fact that like this even did happen in the first place, rather it be intentional or not. And even for me, I feel like, okay, like honestly, I could just like quickly forget about the whole Bobby Driscoll incident with Mean Dean or whatever, but like with that in mind, it's not like it's going to be a little bit tougher to like go through the movie like when you actually do see Mean Dean on screen like portrayed as like this weird fusion of Peter Pan and Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. So it's like, honestly, it's going to be tough. And one thing I will say, I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, but I feel like right now with this entire situation with Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, with all the reactions, with the mixed responses, with all the different opinions going on, I can't help but feel like we're kind of in deja vu. I feel like exactly last year, weren't we all having the exact discussions in regards to Space Jam: A New Legacy? I feel like we're going through the same thing again, where a lot of the focus is in regards to the world that they have built in it, all the different cameos that we could possibly see in there, the fact that in the trailers we would all freak out about seeing all the different Warner Brothers characters in there, the possibility of referencing stuff like Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, It, and all that kind of stuff. And yet, like, when the movie did come out, well, it was not good. And I don't know, like, I feel like in this case here, it's just, I feel like we're following the exact same patterns where right now, a lot of people are very much talking about the trailers. The main focus is in regards to all the different cameos, seeing all the different properties that are a part of this, but there's not a lot of discussions in terms of how the movie is going to be in itself. And I mean, I do get it. Like, the cameo fest can be enjoyable for sure, but if it doesn't necessarily have a good movie attached to it, then there really isn't that much it could offer in the first place. I'm not saying that I want this to be like another Roger Rabbit, because let's be honest, there's never going to be another movie like Roger Rabbit. But from what we are seeing, at least for me, I feel like with the movie so far, it's just, I'm not getting into it. I don't even feel like it's fun so far in terms of the tone, in terms of the meta nature that it has overall, in terms of the plot line. It's just, like, I could totally be wrong. I'll say that right now. I could totally be wrong, and when the movie comes out, it'll be amazing, and it could be as fun as Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But it's just, for now, these trailers are not giving me the best first impression so far. So, like, I will say we will have to wait and see with how this movie goes, but I just don't know how to feel about this, honestly.
No, I totally agree. And what you said is, I totally respect that. Okay, going back to Space Jam, yes, I do acknowledge that movie is crap. Like, it is not a good film. But for me, it's like for me, it's the journey as opposed to like the execution. Like, where are they going with this? Where are they going to take this and go like forward with it? And something I will give Chip and Dale credit as opposed to Space Jam is like, you can definitely tell like the people behind Chip and Dale are having more fun with the execution as opposed to Space Jam. Because let's be honest, Space Jam is just basically, I mean, I'm not the first to make that like compare like this point, but it's just basically like a marketing ploy for Warner Brothers. Like, it's there just to market its characters, its environments, and all that stuff. They're not really doing much with those characters. It's just, oh, look, it's the setting from Game of Thrones. It's Rick and Morty. It's that obscure character from the 1960s. It's like they're just there and not really having that much fun with it. But with Chip and Dale, I feel like at least when it comes like the more like meta humor, when it comes like the animation side of things, you can definitely tell like this could be like a fun adventure of sorts and how they're going to like commentate on that. And I do acknowledge, like, yeah, I'm sure this movie won't be that good or anything like that, but I'm just in it for the ride. I just want to see where they're going to go with this idea, see how it goes, and make the best out of it. Actually, I'll put it this way. This seems like a film where you get your friends together, go to a house, get drunk, and just have a blast watching it. It seems like one of those get drunk kind of films.
Like, turn off your brain and just enjoy the ride, regardless of how the movie could be.
Exactly, yeah. Because, yeah, I'm not expecting like this film to be like Best Picture nomination, nowhere near close. No. But I'm just saying, like, this feels more like a guilty pleasure of sorts. So I mean, once I see it, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be like, oh yeah, this movie wasn't that great. But at least I had a fun experience watching it in a way. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, I'm hype as hell.
All right. Well, I mean, like, I know there are some anticipation for it. Like, I know, like, this movie's reactions so far are very, very mixed. But again, if you guys are interested in checking out the movie, then keep in mind it is going to be coming out on May 20th, exclusively on Disney+. Okay, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think about the second trailer of Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers? Are you guys more like Logan, where you're a lot more excited to see what this movie is going to be? Or are you more like me, where you're a lot more hesitant with how this will be as a feature film? Let me know what you think.
We respect all opinions.
Yes. Except the ones that are not like mine. Those are not respected.
Ouch.
I'm fooling around, man. I'm fooling around. All right, let's see what we got. I'm honestly so conflicted. On one hand, I do like the animation style and the different cameos, but on the writing just feels generic and doesn't fit anything special. In a way, I agree it reminds me of Space Jam: A New Legacy because of the novelty aspect and the different cameos. As for Mean Dean, well, I don't think it was intentional, but it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, so we'll have to wait and see. All right, fair enough. Mm-hmm. I won't get into specifics, but a while ago there was a plot leak regarding this movie, and this trailer pretty much proved that the leak was true. With that in mind, yeah, no, this movie is gonna suck. That and the plot's pretty generic, and in a way they do, Peter Pan is kind of tasteless considering what happened to the actor. I will give it props, however, I wasn't expecting them to show male strippers. Yeah, like with the opening of Chip and Dale. Yeah, did you know about the leak?
I was not aware of it. No, that's why I made that surprise reaction. Like, wait, there's a leak? What?
I did hear about it, but I avoided it at all costs. Like, I didn't even want to know. But apparently, from what people are saying with the leak, they're not really liking what they hear about the plot line and stuff. So,
I mean, I did hear like one rumor about it, but I'm not sure if that's like true or not. But yeah, for a leak, no, I was not aware of that. Now I know what to avoid.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta keep dodging him, man. Like, whenever there's a leak happening, you just go, no!
Yep. First that, and then the Doctor Strange leak. Yeah, I'm going to avoid social media for maybe a little while. Nah, probably not.
Hey, no matter what the reason would be, social media breaks are always good, and they're always healthy.
Oh, that's true.
Yes, let's see. I was already not that impressed with the movie earlier, and this trailer doesn't help. The story just doesn't fit Chip and Dale, the humor felt rather weak, and although the 2D and the stop-motion animation on the side characters is rather nice, the 3D animation isn't anything special. There is also the fact that Mean Dean feels like a very bad taste due to what happened to Bobby Driscoll, even though the makers of this movie most likely did not intend it. I'll skip this one. Okay, let's see what we got. My opinion on this trailer hasn't changed as much, and I didn't find the jokes funny or feel like it would have been better if this movie stars the original characters instead of Chip and Dale, if this is going with the Roger Rabbit type sequel. For the Peter Pan controversy, I know this wasn't the filmmaker's intention, but it felt mean-spirited to me. Just like I said before from the last trailer, I feel like this is going to be Space Jam 2 with Happy Time Murders all over again, and I'm not that excited about it.
Oh, Happy Time Murders. I haven't heard that film in a while.
Oh, God.
But no, I do agree with what he said about like if they use more original characters as the main characters, because I feel like people won't be as like, I feel like it would have been like a better received better if they used like more original characters as opposed to using IPs. Like what they did with Roger Rabbit. So.
Yes, honestly, I do agree with you on that. Like, I know a lot of the skepticism of this is actually in relation to why this is based on Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, despite the fact that there's nothing about it that legit feels like Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. So, honestly, I do understand that if they went with original characters or if they went with Bonkers, this would have been a lot more positively received.
Right.
Let's see. Oh god, the Peter Pan villain has aged like spoiled milk. I am very mixed about this Chip and Dale movie. While I like the idea of a cartoon universe movie that can be a thing on its own outside of Roger Rabbit and drawn together, the issue I have is the cel-shaded CG doesn't really work in a live-action environment. The meta jokes either feel gimmicky or jumping the shark. The voice actors should have kept their high-pitched voices. Like what the pirate captain said. It's well, yes, but actually no. Well, I don't know. Like, if they are gonna go with the high-pitched voice thing, like, why not get like the original actors back, like the original actors of Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers?
Yeah, well, in that trailer, they did showcase they do like those voices do appear briefly as like a little joke because it's like they're using those voices within the show themselves. But apparently, they are bringing back Corey Burton and Tress MacNeille as a voice Gadget and Zipper. So that's something.
I guess that's something. All
But
right.
yeah, but you know why they did that? Celebrity endorsements.
Yeah.
Or just celebrities in general.
Yeah, like honestly, for me, like it is kind of a point off that they have to have like John Mulaney and Andy Samberg to be the stars of this. It's like, really? Do we have to have celebrity voices for classic Disney characters? Like, I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like, considering that, again, these are like Walt Disney classic characters, it's almost sacrilegious in a way.
Pretty much, yeah. But then again, Don Cheadle did voice Donald Duck in that one episode of DuckTales reboot. But it was just for a go.
Yeah, he wasn't trying, but Don Cheadle was not trying to be like Donald Duck.
Right.
Like,
that's true.
There was a purpose. Like, there was a purpose for that. So Don actually gets a pass for voicing Don like that.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree with that, but it is pretty odd. But at the same time, it's like it's bound to happen eventually. Like, so it's more like if they give like a celebrity voice to Mickey Mouse. That's where I feel like, okay, you guys are pushing it just a little bit much. Like, I'm not saying that would happen, but I'm surprised they didn't take that route yet.
You're making.
But then again, this is what?
No. You go on. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, like, this is Disney. Like, if there's one character they're very protective of, is Mickey Mouse. Like, yeah, they're very protective towards Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying right now, Chris Pratt is sweating because there's an announcement that has not been told yet, so...
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I'll read one more comment before we move on to the next story. To be honest, the second trailer is a lot better than the previous trailer. The character cameos were fun, Chip and Dale were quite fun, and the joke with the live-action Pumbaa is quite funny. But this didn't really convince me to go and watch the movie, but who knows? Maybe it can be good, maybe it can be bad, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes. I'm still surprised about the MLP cameo. Also, Matt, when you said Doofenshmirtz, you forgot the letter R in Doofenshmirtz. Oh, okay, Doofenshmirtz. I don't know. Honestly, for a while, I keep on saying Doofenshmirtz, but no one corrected me on that. But then again, maybe
I was going to say something, but you're on a roll, so it's like, I'll let it pass.
Okay, fair enough. Now, with that said, let's go and jump onto our next story. And I'm going to be honest, Logan, with this one, you were the first to actually tell me about this. Like, when you wanted to be on board for this episode of the podcast, I was honestly not aware that this was actually happening. And yet, like, you told me about it and I had to look it up and I'm like, oh crap, it was a thing.
Yep, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, and this is something, and by the way, I know there are different interpretations about it, but we're going to go with the more straightforward, and we're going to stick more to the facts with this one, and we are going to talk about the big update that's happening at Tokyo Disneyland. Yes, for those of you who haven't heard, the Oriental Land Company, the company that actually owns Tokyo Disneyland, they have revealed that they are going to make major renovations to both Tomorrowland and its signature attraction, Space Mountain, to which the ride is actually going to be closed in 2024 in order to make major renovations, to which they plan they are going to open in 2027. We even got some quotes that I would like to read here from my source on Deadline, one of which being from Kathleen Davis, the producer at Walt Disney Imagineering, by stating, "It's not only a whole new ride experience, but the story also has so much emotion. Through the queue and then on the ride, we see our connection to our planet and gain a new perspective for how special it is in all the universe. It's a roller coaster with both thrill and heart." We also got another quote from the Oriental Land Company in which they want to reassure many Disney fans out there that this Space Mountain is still going to be Space Mountain in its core. It's still going to be the classic attraction, but it's going to have a new narrative and it's going to have brand new effects, in which they state, "This entirely new attraction will maintain its original concept and it will maintain its original concept as an indoor roller coaster, but will have enhanced performance and immersive special effects that will give guests even more thrills on this exciting rocket ride." And we also do have one more quote, actually just this little section here, in which it actually goes into detail about the new theme of Tomorrowland, in which this one is actually going to be a lot more environmentally friendly. That's the best way to go and describe this, where it actually states that this Tomorrowland will be a future where humans are in harmony with nature. It will incorporate various icons and design elements that will create a sense of hope for the future. And we even got a quote from the senior creative director for Walt Disney Imagineering, Owen Yoshino, as he states, "With the overarching story of appreciating our home, planet Earth, we are making this change to spread awareness of caring for our Earth and what she's gifted us throughout time as we know it." And we so far have one concept art. We do have one special look of what they plan to do with Tomorrowland, Space Mountain, and Tomorrowland as well. And from the looks of things, I gotta say, like, this is from my source on the Disney Park blog. As you could see here, I gotta say, it is beautiful. Logan, what would you like to say about this?
Why is it that Tokyo Disneyland gets all the cool stuff? Well, I really applaud them for going with this direction when it comes to not just Space Mountain, but also with Tomorrowland, because I'm sure if you're a theme park fan or just Disney park fan in general, then you're aware that when it comes to like the mini lands within like Disney parks, Tomorrowland is always like a big issue because no matter what, every time they update it, it's always going to be outdated because the theme of Tomorrowland is, oh, this is going to be the look of the future and see how things will be like. Because when Disneyland first opened back in 1955, that Tomorrowland is supposed to be like what the future will be like in 1986. Obviously, we're in 2022, so, I mean, granted, they didn't make updates till then, but currently, when it comes to Disneyland and Walt Disney World right now with their Tomorrowlands, I mean, I personally don't have an issue with them. I think they're still like cool for what they are, but I know a lot of people are not like happy with the way how they're presented right now, because you can definitely tell like there are some things that are considered outdated. And going back to Tokyo Disneyland, from what I've been told and from what the videos I've seen about that park, yeah, their Tomorrowland is quite more outdated in a way, because you can definitely tell like there's like some things that were like there since when that park opened back in the 80s. And yeah, they're definitely due for like an update when it comes to that. And from what I've seen in that concept art, like, yeah, that is beautiful. Like, I can definitely see that like taking like a while for it to be executed and built and all that stuff. And then as I'm looking at that, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is really cool. I can definitely see this kind of working if they want to. They can take that design of Space Mountain and apply it to the Magic Kingdom version of Space Mountain. And the reason why I say that is because currently, right next to Space Mountain in Walt Disney World in Florida, they're building that Tron roller coaster, which I'm sure you're aware of, Matt.
Yeah, of course.
And I feel like with that design of Space Mountain that they're doing for Tokyo Disneyland will blend very well. It'll be like a nice, like, it'll blend well with that Tron roller coaster that's being in the works right now. And then I'm just like thinking to myself, yeah, it would be really cool not now, not like in the next 2 to 3 years, but hopefully sometime soon, the American parks will get their Tomorrowlands updated. But for now, I'm really happy for Disneyland or Tokyo Disneyland that they're going with that route, and not just with that, but also they're making it more environmental friendly. Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like I forgot about that part. That I feel like that's really impressive that they're going with that route and make it more environmental friendly. So good on them for that.
Oh yeah. Honestly, when it comes to Tokyo Disneyland, I feel like they're either some of the best or they're the ones that are the most behind. Like on one hand, when Tokyo Disneyland makes something amazing, they actually make some of the best stuff in the world. Like people are like many people are unironically saying right now that the greatest theme park in this planet today is actually Tokyo Disney Sea. And some of the clips I've seen for Tokyo Disney Sea and some of the rides they got there, it is absolutely phenomenal. But
jaw dropping.
Yeah, but at the same time, there are also elements that yeah, they really are lagging behind, and that could be because that like technically considering Tokyo Disneyland is not owned by Disney. It's actually by the Oriental Land Company. Like, yeah, they got their focus on like plenty of other attractions that they want to do. But at the same time, like you could tell there are some things that they're way behind in. Like, for example, believe it or not, the Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion that they got in there, it's the exact same one like how it is on opening day. Like the old auction scene, it is still there. The old attic scene, it's still there. Like it's the same thing since like the very beginning when the original attractions open. And there are some things that, yeah, they do kind of have to update. And in regards to Tomorrowland, yes, I am aware about the Tomorrowland problem because, well, tomorrow will eventually happen and it will be nothing like what we see in there. So of course they have to keep on updating and updating and updating. And from what I've seen in this, in the concept art and stuff, like, holy crap, this is amazingly beautiful. And honestly, even with the added environmental message, like, I feel like there is something that feels very Disney about it because honestly, with the future that they're trying to present here, you know what it reminds me of? Like all the, like even the whole aesthetic of it, it reminds me of WALL-E. Because like WALL-E does have that environmental message, but at the same time, like you got the futuristic look, like especially with the new design of Space Mountain, that's something that is a lot more sleek, something that like it feels like it still looks like Space Mountain, but it also feels fresh and new and even more round at the same time. So from there, like even like with the like it's still all white and it has the blue glow, like it kind of reminds me of Eve in a way. So that's why I do get a little bit of like WALL-E vibes from looking at this. And I would debate honestly in regards to having this update in the American parks because on one side, yes, I do agree with you that even in the American parks, their Tomorrowlands do need a significant update. But then again, I feel like if they do make that update, it would be very controversial, especially amongst the Disney purists. Like, you know, there are going to be those fans that will be pissed off with whatever change they do, especially with Space Mountain, considering how iconic that attraction is, how beloved that ride is. Like if people would touch that Space Mountain in general, like you would see people flipping their lids. Like people like Disney should be thankful for the fact that they didn't receive that much backlash for either of the updates that they have done, considering that they're just temporary, like the Hyperspace Mountain, like the Star Wars themed Space Mountain, or like the Halloween version with the Ghost Galaxy. Like that one was actually well received. Like that one, like people think is like an upgrade to the Space Mountain that we do have now. But I feel like if they do that kind of update onto the American Tomorrowland, I feel like there would be a bit of controversy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that because there are going to be those Disney fans that will be upset if they will do stuff like that. But think of it this way: I'm definitely one of those people where it's like I'm not against if they're like going to update the ride just to make it more modern for the modern audience. Because think of it this way: Do you really want to ride a roller coaster that's been there since like the 1960s or 70s for Space Mountain's case and still feel like rough and all that stuff? Because back in September, I went to Disneyland and I rode the Matterhorn. They haven't touched those tracks since the park first, when they first opened that ride back in the 60s. And you can tell it is so rough. Like, there'll be moments where it's like, I was like janking all over the place. And it's like, oh my God, like, take it easy there. It's like, I mean, yeah, because eventually they haven't made those changes because that would like defeat the purpose like it was when it first opened. But there are like other cases where Disney did update the rides and make the rides more smoother and appeal for a modern audience. Like not too long ago, they recently refurbished Big Thunder Mountain to replace the old tracks with the newer ones, and that to me, like I rode that not too long ago. Because when I went there back in September, they were closed for a small refurbishment. But I remember when I went there, when I went on the ride with the new updates, it was nice. It definitely felt much more smoother. The experience was better and all that stuff. And to me, that's a direction I wish Disney would do more with their much more older rides. Because I want to be honest, when comparing the parks, when comparing like Disneyland to Walt Disney World, the rides at Walt Disney World feel more outdated compared to the ones in Disneyland because Disneyland does a better job when it comes to like updating their rides with not just like new technology and all that stuff, but also make sure like the ride experience is like much more smoother and all that stuff. But with Disney World, there's like some cases where it's like, yeah, they're overdue. Not just with like Tomorrowland, because I remember I went on Peter Pan's Flight. They haven't touched that ride since like the 70s, and it shows. Like, compare how Disney World's Peter Pan's Flight is now compared to how it is in Disneyland. Like, there's a difference. Like, I am like in awe like with the changes they made in Disneyland's version of Peter Pan's Flight, and that's how I feel about Space Mountain too. Because if I remember correct, it's been a while since I've been on that version of Space Mountain Walt Disney World, but yeah, it has some like dated elements where I feel like they should like be updated like how it is in Disneyland. And and this is one of those cases where I actually prefer Disneyland more than Walt Disney World in Florida, even though I'm much more closer to Florida than I am in California because I'm from Ohio. But that's the side of the point. But to me, like because people say that you shouldn't touch this ride. It's so classic. It's so nostalgic. Walt Disney himself said like he doesn't want these rides to be museums. Progress has to be made, and I feel like that should be like the best point because if you keep the ride how it was back when it was first opened back in 1955, people won't be as impressed by it when compared to like the stuff they're doing now with like their newer rides. And I'm not saying like they should like close down Space Mountain forever. No, I want them to keep Space Mountain, but at the same time, I want them to update it. So that way they can feel more fresh, modern, and all that stuff. And for like a new generation and all that stuff. And that's looking at the concept art with Tokyo Disneyland, I applaud them for doing that because that's something that should have been done like a while ago. But I get why they couldn't do it sooner because they're too busy with because currently right now with Tokyo Disneyland, they're in the process of making a new section for Tokyo Disney Sea called Fantasy Springs. Have you heard about that?
Yes. Like it's like that's the place where they're adding like a section based on like Peter Pan, Tangled, and Frozen.
Yeah. Just looking alone, like I've been told like that part of the park won't open until like sometime next year. So I figure like once they're done with that, then they're going to start with like Tomorrowland, the update. And yeah, just by looking at that alone, like I am like truly impressed by what they have to offer. And yeah, what I'm trying to say here is like, yes, I do like these rides to be relevant for a modern age, but in order to stay relevant, changes have to be applied so that way they meet with like the modern standards. Like I said, we don't want all the rides to be like Matterhorn where they like jostle you around and all that stuff. But hey, that's just me.
Like updates do need to be made, like especially maintenance have to be made for sure. And I will be honest, like, yeah, like I can understand the differences between like Disney World and Disneyland. Like, it's been such a long time, like it's been almost a decade since I've been to Disney World, to be very honest, but it's only been a few years ago that I was in Disneyland, and some of the differences, like I could already tell, are major, like especially Pirates of the Caribbean. Now I know firsthand how the one at Disneyland is way better than the one at Walt Disney World. And yeah, it's true. Like, there are some rides that definitely do need to have some maintenance, and especially when it comes to something like Space Mountain as a roller coaster. Yeah, you got to make sure that everything runs smoothly and it doesn't end up like a Matterhorn problem where it keeps like juggling you around. Like, like that would be the last thing that you would want. And I know there are some people that are probably worried right now because of how Lightyear is going to be coming soon, and there is like a scene, I do believe, that like their shuttle is actually like kind of does look a bit like Space Mountain in a way, and some people are worried if they're going to re-theme Space Mountain to Lightyear, but I don't know, like I guess we'll have to wait and see in the future for that.
If that's the case, don't retheme Space Mountain, retheme the Buzz Lightyear ride. That one needs an update.
Oh my god, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we
Just saying.
we need, that thing desperately needs an update. My god. Like, it's almost a parody by this point, especially like compared to what Universal has with the Men in Black ride. It's like, come on, Disney, you got to really up your standards on that.
Hey, there could be a chance now with Lightyear, so we'll see.
Who knows? But one thing I will say, yeah, especially roller coasters, they do need to be updated and they do need to be maintenance. And as a Montrealer, I should know, because there's a local theme park that we have called La Ronde, which is owned by Six Flags. And one of the rides in there, like one of the big signature rides, is called Le Monstre, or the Monster. And this is a massive wooden roller coaster. But the catch is that it's about 50 years old, okay? Like, it opened around the same time as the theme park itself. And that is a thing that you got to make sure it needs maintenance. And especially as a wooden roller coaster, you're not really in the mood to feel like, oh, I want to be jostled around like in the freaking Matterhorn. That's like, you know, like that's at the point where like you're going up and down and you're wondering to yourself, am I gonna die today? Like, you don't want to have that feeling in a roller coaster. Like, yeah,
pretty much, yeah.
Like, you want to have like maybe a little bit in a controlled roller coaster, but like you want to have that for all the right reasons, not because you're questioning the integrity of the structure of the roller coaster itself. So if anything, the last thing that Space Mountain needs to be is like Le Monstre. And you got to make sure you got to keep it maintained. You got to keep it updated. And if you have a good story that is attached to it, then go ahead and do it. Especially with something like they're proposing for Tokyo Disneyland, with something that is more environmentally aware. And I think it does leave a good and I would say timeless message where maybe Tokyo might find the key to actually solving its Tomorrowland problem.
Exactly. And that's why I'm in the same boat too. It's like, chances are of me going to Tokyo Disneyland are kind of, slim, but there could be always like a chance that I could always like visit or sometime. You may never know. But when the time does come, yeah, once 2027 comes around, I'm definitely looking forward to see what they have in store. If I'm not going there, hey, there's always YouTube.
That is true. And keep in mind, if it ever happens that you're going to Tokyo Disneyland, keep in mind that their Space Mountain is going to shut down it's going to shut down in 2024, but it will be coming back in a brand new way in 2027. So with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think about the new update for Space Mountain? Are you guys excited for this new Space Mountain? Are you a little bit concerned with changing the original Space Mountain? Let me know what you think on this.
Yeah, it's cool and all, but it definitely needs rocket rods.
Oh my god. Are you kidding me?
Kidding. I'm kidding.
By the way, there is one more thing I almost forgot to mention. How do you feel am I the only one that feels upset of the way that like some websites are really clickbaiting this thing? The way that they're trying to manipulate this news story to make it seem like, oh, this classic Disney park ride is shutting down in one of the parks. Like they're making it so vague for the sake of clickbait. Like that's just
I am
freaking
annoyed.
That is shameful, man.
It is shameful, especially like if you're like in that area, whether it be like a Disneyland or Walt Disney World, and they make that announcement, be like, "Oh boy, click on it. Oh, Tokyo, dang it." Yeah, no, that is very shameful. I hate those clickbait titles, but I get why, unfortunately.
Yeah, I get why. I just don't agree with it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we got here. I haven't been to the Tokyo parks, but I'm surprised they're doing Space Mountain now. Not that I'm complaining. I personally think that is one of the best rides at the parks, alongside Matterhorn, Matterhorn Mountain, Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, Expedition Everest Mountain, and Test Track. I'll see if I could check this out one day, but for now, I'll just stick to saving up for a trip to the California parks. Oh, maybe I'll recreate that video of a water bottle flying off the Incredicoaster. Oh my God, I don't even remember that. Hold on, water bottle. I need to double check on that, but that's
Is this one of those like video? Is this one of those cases where like some stupid TikToker try to do something like quote unquote cool to a ride, but they end up looking like a complete idiot?
I honestly, I'm not sure. Water, oh my, like I don't even know what's happening, but man, I'll have to double check. I'll have to double check on that, but I don't know. That doesn't sound like something that has good news on it. It sounds like stupid people at Disneyland.
Unfortunately, you get tons of those.
Oh God, yes. Oh yeah, like I remember seeing one. I remember seeing a recent one where like they were in the Haunted Mansion queue and one person decided to go like for a photo opportunity to lay down at one of the graveyards, and it's like this really was a Disney version of F around and find out.
What? No, what?
Like legit hopping over the fence, lying down in front of one of the tombstones. And yeah, like not in the ride, but like at the queue.
Right, but that's still like invading property. Like,
oh, it is.
There's a fence for. Trust me, I heard worse stories than. I mean, I heard worse stories than that, but still, that's just people. No, stop it.
Yeah, exactly. While I've never been to Tokyo Disneyland, this definitely looks exciting. I definitely do agree Tokyo's Tomorrowland is the one that needs massive upgrade, and Tokyo Disneyland in general does need a bit of an upgrade, so overall I'm excited. Also, I agree with you, Logan. Why is it that international Disney parks get the best and most awesome attractions? Yeah, and some of the most original also. I mean, when was the last time that either Disneyland or Walt Disney World got like an original attraction with like original IPs?
I want to say, to my knowledge, that in the American parks, their last original IP would have to be Expedition Everest, to my knowledge.
Yeesh.
But with the international ones, the most recent one is with Hong Kong Disneyland, Mystic Point, and that was like back in 2013.
Yeah, Mystic Manor. Oh my God, Mystic Manor is epic.
Yeah, Mystic Manor. Sorry, it's something like that. But yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm not one of those like people who are like, oh, there should be more original IPs in the parks. Like, yeah, it'll be cool, but at the same time, it's like I always appreciate what Disney has to offer, IP or not IP. So
yeah, true. Let's see what other comments we have here. I haven't been on Space Mountain, but this sounds worrisome. With something like the Brer Rabbit ride replaced with a Princess and the Frog ride, I understand because of the controversy back in 2020. But why change Space Mountain? Remember last time a classic attraction got revamped with a different narrative? Let's just say it's best to not have a snobby hornbill or a loudmouth parrot be in charge while it's under new management. While I'm sure it can work out fine, but it all depends on the execution. I mean, with Space Mountain, I just gotta say, like, there's not even that much of a theme going on. Like, it is like vague enough where you can do a bunch of different stuff.
All you get is like you're in a rocket ship, you go into space, zippity doo.
Yeah.
Well, not Zippity Doodah, but that reminds me, where are they at with Splash Mountain right now? Like, are they still in the process of with that still, or?
From what I've heard, they're still going, and it's possible either in 2023 or 2024. It could still be going on. Like this Christmas, I got the Walt Disney World 50th anniversary, and they did talk about that they are still on it when it comes to revamping Splash Mountain to the Princess and the Frog. So it's still happening. We just don't know when they're actually going to go and do so.
Yeah, I figured that's still in the works. They just haven't like talked about it in a while. And really quick, going back what he said about the Enchanted Tiki Room under new management. I'm sorry, that's a guilty pleasure for me.
Yes!
I grew up.
Yes,
it's a guilty pleasure.
It so is. Oh my god! Like not long after Gilbert Gottfried passed away, I decided to revisit like through YouTube videos of that thing. It's stupid, but it's so much fun though. Oh my god!
And that's the one I grew up with. Like, I remember watching it like a lot. Like every time I go to Disney World as a kid, it's like, yeah, we always go to that, and I still have a fun time watching it, even if it's stupid. It's like, come, it's 90s stupid. Like, come on.
It's almost like satirical and self-aware in the way that it is literally IPs taking over a classic original attraction. Like,
yeah,
go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say at the time I didn't realize like that was based like an original like IP at the Disney parks. I just assumed like, oh, they're just interfering with this like show, and it's like it wasn't until like years later it's like, oh wait a second, that was like an original thing at the Disney parks. Okay. Which I still love the show regardless, whether it be like the original or the new management. It's just fun. Yeah, it's stupid, but you know, it's no longer there anymore, so what can you do?
Oh yeah. I'll go and read one more comment before we move on to the next story. Sounds like it needs a good update on Space Mountain over at Tokyo Disneyland. Although I would have loved to go to Japan someday, I think it's probably for the best that it has to be updated. Hopefully it is worth the wait, updated in 2027, as I'm focusing right now on going to Los Angeles for the first time in July. Oh, you'll definitely have a lot of fun with that.
Yep, I was there not too long ago, and yeah, it's interesting. It's fun, interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's always worth it. Like it's always worth to have like that kind of revisit.
I agree.
All right, so moving on to the next story that we got over here, we're going to talk about the biggest entertainment event that happened last week, which was CinemaCon. And I'm sure you've seen a whole bunch of different updates that has happened at CinemaCon, right, Logan?
I was aware of like a few news. Wasn't really paying attention as much, but I was aware of like the more like popular things that happened at CinemaCon.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot that is like major because a good amount of it is just showing the people there like exclusive clips, like what is happening right now. And like some of the more significant ones, like they're just like quick announcements, like there's going to be a sequel to the Batman. Next year, we're going to get next year we will have the Barbie movie with Margot Robbie and all that kind. And also there is that new Spider-Man spin-off movie starring El Muerto, the Spider-Man villain that has literally appeared in 2 comics, and that's it.
I was gonna say who.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's everybody's response when they first heard about that. No, but the biggest announcement that actually occurred is in regards to what could be the most anticipated movie of 2023. And the announcement that they got, well, apparently this movie is going to be huge. So with that said, let's go and talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, you guys probably do recall recently where we have heard of the big reveal that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is going to be delayed to June of 2023 instead of being released in October of this year. Where at the same time, they have revealed that Part 2 is going to be coming out in early 2024. Well, at CinemaCon, Phil Lord and Chris Miller has revealed a bit more info of what's going to be happening with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, to which that they have promised that it is going to be much, much, much bigger than it was before. In fact, let me go and read you here from my source on Entertainment Weekly, as it states, the duo teased that the animated film, which has been dubbed Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, is going to be way, way, way bigger than the last one, featuring a whopping 240 characters. By comparison, its predecessor had 40. And by the way, Chris Miller did later reveal that the 240 characters, a good amount of them are going to be just background characters, but still, it is going to be 240 individually crafted characters, 6 universes so far, and has the largest crew in any animated film ever, with 1,000 people working on the film. The first previously held the record at about 800 crew members. At the same time, they have also revealed the first 15 minutes that is going to be in Across the Spider-Verse. They showed that to the guests at CinemaCon, and just to go and quickly describe what has happened in there, it states, first up was Gwen's universe, known as Earth 65. There we see her battle with Vulture, and eventually she is joined by a pregnant Jessica Drew, who, by the way, is Spider-Woman, played by Issa Rae, and Miguel O'Hara, who is the Spider-Man 2099, played by Oscar Isaac, who help her take the villain down. Over in Miles' world, aka Earth 1610, it's time for him to figure out where he's going to go to college, and boy do his parents have feelings about that. He wants to go to Columbia, but Mom wants somewhere in Brooklyn. Of the film's plot, the duo tease that Gwen and Miles will get together and go on a crazy dimension-hopping adventure ride. They have also revealed that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 2 is now going to have an official new title, which is going to be Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Now, Logan, I would like to know your thoughts on this, even though this is just a tiny bit of info that we know so far about Spider-Verse. What do you think about this?
240 characters. Can they do that? They're crazy. No, anyways, this is really cool. Like, I gotta say, like, to give my thoughts about the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse film, Into the Spider-Verse film, I really enjoyed it. Like, I definitely like how they executed the film and all that stuff, with just like how it's being presented by not just the story, but also like the characters, and especially that unique like animation that stays close to like how it will appear in the comics. So, and not too long ago when I was on vacation, as I was getting ready to like be prepared to go to dinner somewhere, I had that movie playing in the background because it just happened to be on TV. And yeah, it's still like really good, like how it still like portrays stuff as a Spider-Man, like as a Spider-Man film. And so when I heard news about the sequel, it's like I'm not as excited like most people are, but I am definitely looking forward to it. Don't get me wrong, it's still a great film and all that stuff, but I'm just not as into it when compared to like everybody else in the animation industry, because I still love it, but I'm a fan, but not that big a fan. That's all I'm gonna say. I still enjoy it.
Of the Spider-Verse movie, or like
Into the Spider-Verse film, yeah. No, I mean I still love Spider-Man. Like, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Like he's definitely like my favorite Marvel character and all that stuff. And I'm going to put it this way. I still love the film, but don't consider me as like that diehard fan that's like, oh, I got to watch this film like 24/7, basically. But I'm still looking forward to it. And I'm very intrigued of what they have in store with the sequels, especially since they're going to bring in like that many characters. And yeah, I'm just curious to see like where they're going to extend the whole Spider-Man universes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm just curious like how they're going to play this out. Not sure how I feel about the pregnant Spider-Woman, but we'll see.
So just out of curiosity, why do you what makes you think that this sequel, or like why is it that you're not as like hyped up, or you don't feel like this sequel could be as good as the first Spider-Verse?
To me, sequels in general, I'm not that fond of, to be honest. With the exception of like the MCU, to me, like whether they like announce like a sequel to something, I always get that mindset as like, I don't know. It could be good, maybe it's not so good. It's just more like they don't really like they don't like exceed my expectations when it comes to like the first film. And even as like, let's say if they were to make a sequel to like my all-time favorite film, Roger Rabbit, I don't know how I feel about it. It's just more
we just talked about it though.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah, and you're not wrong there. But to me, it's like if they with sequels, like I just don't feel them to be like as good, and I just feel like if they do it wrong, then it's like you're basically like destroying what made the first film great to begin with. Like, granted, like I'm sure, like this, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure this film will be great and all, and just judging by like that first clip that we saw, like when did they release that first teaser of that shot of like Miles against Miguel?
Oh, that is
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. It's been a while. Like, I think it was like sometime last year.
Was it? Wow, that was.
Think.
But yeah,
that is a good question. I'll go and look that up. Actually, I don't know. You could go on. I'll just go and try.
Yeah, yeah. I really do like how they SQ'd there and all that stuff. But it's just more like I respected more when it comes to like the animation side of things. But at the same time, kind of like worrisome is like if they're like going overboard with this film. But that's just me because I'll put it this way. I really enjoyed the Sonic 2 movie. Like I had a good time watching Sonic 2.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the this is like those rare sequels where it's like I actually got like something out of it. But when it comes to like everything else, like a good example, like when Pixar used to make sequels to their films, I just don't get as much. Like, I like them all right, but they didn't like really grab me as compared to like to the first films. Like to me, I feel like if they just like keep it as it is with the first film, I would have been satisfied. But with a sequel, it's just like yeah, they're good, but they're more forgettable than anything else. And I'm just afraid like. And I get why they're going with this direction because here's the thing. I don't know. Hot take in 5, 4, 3,
Watch
2,
out!
1. Sony should give the film rights back to Marvel. I'm just saying that because while they're doing a great job with the Spider-Verse films, with the animation side of things, their live action films, total disaster.
Yeah.
Because think of it this way. Not counting the Tom Holland films, what was like the last good live action Spider-Man film? Like the one that everybody loved, everybody praised, the critics love it, everybody loves it. Just overall, people love it.
Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man 2. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2. Because here's the thing, is like ever since like that film, like they've been like Sony's just been making like dumb decision after dumb decision with these live action films. So the point is like, okay, I get where you're going with these films, but at the same time, you could like make them more better in a sense. I get like writing a film's not easy. Like it takes years to like perfect the script and all that stuff. And what makes the Tom Holland films great is because those films are made by Marvel Studios themselves. So without like Sony's input, but when it's just Sony by themselves, not counting Spider-Verse, they just been like I don't know where they're going with this. Like the last film I saw of theirs that's not Spider-Verse was Venom, which to me I thought Venom was all right for what it is. Like it's stupid, but I have like a all right time with it. And I didn't bother watching the sequel to that film or Morbius, but from what I heard, yeah, they're not good whatsoever. And I kept hearing people saying, the more I keep hearing stuff about the live action films, I just keep myself, Sony, I'm not like against Sony having the film rights to Spider-Man, but at the same time, if you're going to like have the film rights, you got to do a better job than what you're doing now. Because if you keep going down this road, then who knows how much money you're going to lose if you're not going to like please like everybody with these films. And I know I'm going off topic when it comes to like Spider-Verse itself, but that's just how I feel about the whole Sony having Spider-Man, the film rights to Spider-Man. And I get why, because they have that contract still. But if they keep going down this road, then I'm sorry, I'm just not going to be into the Sonyverse. Sonyverse, yeah, that's what I'm gonna call it, Sonyverse.
Like,
But
considering that there is a connection now between the Sony movies and the MCU now, do you think like these movies like Morbius and Venom could actually have an effect on the MCU?
not really. To me, not really. I mean, even though I didn't see Morbius, I was aware about that cameo that appeared at the post-credit scene, which has some connection to the MCU. But to me, it's like if they try their best to be like their own thing, they won't affect the MCU whatsoever. Because they made it obvious, like, yeah, that's going to be the Sony Spider-Man universe. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some connections down the road, but nothing major to the point where it's like, oh, there's going to be like this huge crossover like they did with the Tom Holland films. Maybe I mean, I'm sure there might be like that down the road, but I don't know. I'm kind of like conflicted about the whole like Sony having Spider-Man thing because I'm at the point where it's like I want them to do better with these films, the live action films, that is. But if they keep going down this road where they're making like these like weird decisions, like I said earlier about that, they're going to now make that film based off that one wrestler that I already forgot the name about.
Mm-hmm.
It's like either try better or just give up the rights. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel about the whole Spider-Man or Sony having the rights to the Spider-Man films. That's just me.
Dang.
But see, I told you it's gonna be a hot take.
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, yeah. But by the way, just on a side note, I want to mention I double checked on when the first teaser was released, and it was actually at the end of last year, like on December 2021.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I remember it wasn't like that long ago. But...
No, it's not long ago, but it's been a little while that like we've digested that there is going to be like Across the Spider-Verse and that it is going to be a full-on trilogy with this. And I mean, honestly, I do like I really do see a lot of what you say, and I kind of do agree with what you're talking about with Sony like should ultimately give the rights to Spider-Man. Like I can like honestly, we are at the point with these like with these things. Like I get it why Sony like needs to keep the rights to Spider-Man because like let's be honest, with Sony Pictures, it's kind of like the only thing that they really do have that's making them money. Like without Spider-Man, there would be no Sony Pictures. But it
basically,
feels
yeah,
but with the way that they are handling the Spider-Man movies by themselves, it's like so far I can imagine that it's going to bite them in the butt, and eventually it will come to the point where Spider-Man will just end up becoming unprofitable for them. Like they'll try to do whatever they can, like with the exception of like the Marvel Studios films and the Sony animation films, the ones that they'll try to do on their own, eventually there's just going to be no interest whatsoever. Like coming soon, like the next ones are going to be like Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web. And I'm honestly having a hard time to imagine how those things are how those movies are going to be profitable. Like I would not be surprised if down the road, Sony will eventually end up giving the rights to Spider-Man, but I guess it'll depend on what they have in store for what they want to do with it. And I mean, I guess like, but then again, like it is Sony Pictures and like they'll do whatever they can to maintain the rights so that they could still stay in business.
that's for sure. And I get that aspect too, is like why they need Spider-Man because, yeah, that's basically all they got now. Because I can't really think of like any of their other films that, to my knowledge, are doing that successfully. To my knowledge, I mean, they did release that Uncharted film. I'm not sure how that did. I mean, I already forgot that thing was a thing until I just now thought of it.
Yeah,
you know that Uncharted film?
The Uncharted film. Yeah, like it's kind of successful. Yeah, that's where they are. Where like they're making profitable but not successful films. And I could kind of say the same thing like with Ghostbusters. That they just recently announced they're going to do a sequel to Afterlife, but again, it feels like it could be a case of like Jumanji where like, yeah, it's going to be profitable now, but they're just going to make 2 movies and then suddenly we'll stop hearing from them again.
Basically. So, and like I said, this isn't me like knocking Sony or anything like that. I just wish they can do like a better job since they have the film rights to Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. It's just like you think they could do a much more better job than I mean, they did succeed with the first two Spider-Man films from Tobey Maguire, but ever since then, I just feel like it's just been like a downward spiral when it comes to live action films. But anyways, not to go off that like tangent there, but going back to Spider-Verse, yeah, I am definitely more curious to see how they're going to execute this film because, like I said, even though I'm not like the biggest fan of the first film, I still enjoyed it for what it is. Like, Miles is a good character. The script they got with it is pretty well made. And yeah, I just love it overall. I just didn't like it when compared to like all the other animated films I saw recently when it comes to like from Disney or Pixar. Mm-hmm. But hey, again, that's just my opinion. I know that film has a big fan base. I really appreciate it. And I don't get me wrong, I will still see that film when it comes to theaters. But I'm just hoping for the best that this film doesn't. I mean, from that first teaser, it looks amazing. I'm sure the animation is going to be like they're going to knock it out of the park. I have high hopes, but this is coming from somebody that's not really that big on sequels in general. So that's just me.
That is interesting. I will say, like, for me, I am hoping that like from the sound of it, they're really hyping this up to make Spider-Verse bigger and maybe even better than what they've established in Into the Spider-Verse. And I'd be curious to see what they're doing, especially like when they're saying like they're using so much of Sony's resources, having like 1,000 people working on this movie. So like, honestly, I'm definitely looking forward to see what they got with Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. Now, one thing I will say, though, one more thing I want to add, and this is going to be an interesting perspective, is regarding the new release date, because I just realized this a few days ago. But if you look at the release schedule, that now Across the Spider-Verse is going to be coming out on June 2nd, 2023. The biggest thing that like I never realized before, but oh my God, it's going to have some intense competition, because the thing is, Across the Spider-Verse is going to be released the week after the Little Mermaid remake.
Oh crap.
So that's one thing I want to know. How is that box office battle is going to go?
I hope Spider-Man succeeds. I hope it succeeds because knowing the track record when it comes to these live action Disney remakes, it's Little Mermaid, part of Disney Renaissance. People are going to watch it because it's nostalgic. I just hope I hope Spider-Man beats Little Mermaid. I really hope.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm at the point where I could care less about the live action Disney remakes, but at the same time, after you mentioned that, go Spidey, go.
Yeah, I think I'm on your side as well. Like I'm definitely gonna be rooting for Miles Morales more so than I'll be rooting for Ariel in this case, but yes. Oh my God. Yeah, but considering the track record of these live action remakes, especially the ones based on the more popular Disney Renaissance movies, oh my God, I can imagine The Little Mermaid is going to be a major powerhouse, even to the point that it could possibly overshadow Into the Spider-Verse.
But for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Who knows, man? But we're going to have to wait and see how that will go next year. So that's going to be a battle for another time. But with that said, I would like to know your thoughts in the chat wall. What do you think about Spider-Verse 2 with the new announcements that we have heard and with the fact that it is going to be the biggest animated production so far? Are you guys even more hyped up about it? Do you have any concerns about Across the Spider-Verse? Let me know what you think.
If my opinion upsets you guys, I truly apologize.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I've probably done that thousands of times on the chat wall.
I believe it.
Let's see now. So the Spider-Verse sequel sounds really exciting and really cool, but I feel nervous about the hype that is happening. 200 characters? Yeah, it isn't main characters, but still, that is an insane number of levels of Lord of the Rings. Like, this might be a stretch in expectations, but what if it fails? It might be like a 2016 Ghostbusters situation in having to do a massive overhaul for the franchise that they were banking on. Again, highly unlikely, but maybe it could possibly be a mess. And honestly, like, yeah, it's impossible to imagine Spider-Verse being a flop, but then again, there's a part of me that could see it might happen. Like, there might be a chance, because we are still talking about a Lord and Miller project, like a Lord and Miller sequels project. And if anything, there could be a chance that we could see a repeat of the Lego movie. Like, we remember the Lego movie, how it was so revolutionary when the first movie came out. And then when the sequel appeared in 2019, nobody gave a crap. It was a major box office bomb. It was so bad to the point that even Lego bailed out of Warner Brothers to go and work with Universal. So, I mean, I think it's highly unlikely, but there is still a chance that it could happen.
Yeah, I didn't think about making that comparison with the Lego movie, because I actually did see the Lego movie 2 in theaters, and I thought it was all right.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great, but it's a decent movie.
Oh yeah, it's good, like filler movie basically. But yeah, I will say this: I'm sure that Spider-Man sequel will do a whole lot better than Ghostbusters 2016. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't think it's gonna be that disaster. It's not gonna be that much of Sony's biggest fail. Like, I think it's even gonna do better than Morbius.
Oh, that's for sure. Or at least I'm hoping.
Yeah. Let's see what we got. Well, among with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Nimona, and Cocaine Bear, look it up. It's a real movie releasing next year. This is hands down the movie of 2023 I'm hyped up for the most. The first 15 minutes sounds absolutely crazy, and the fact that the crew is as big as it is, man, I'm not ready. I'm going to mentally prepare myself with other multiverse movies, like the new Doctor Strange, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and the first Phineas and Ferb movie.
A lot of multiverses this year. I just not realized that. Lots of multiverses.
Oh yeah, it's the new trend. Like, multiverses is the new popular thing people want to do.
Not just those films, but also like that new Flash movie.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, that's the DC extended universe, and I mean, that's already a mess right there. That needs that is gonna have an overhaul, actually.
Yeah, that's for sure, but that's a different story.
Yeah, of course. My honest thoughts about this announcement is that I am definitely excited for this long-awaited sequel. I'm very surprised of how many characters the animators are putting in the film. I would be like Patrick saying, "Who are you people?" I bet this film will get the Guinness Book of Records in the future. Could you expect Toei Spider-Man and Electric Company Spider-Man making a cameo?
That would be cool.
I don't know, but we will see. You never know, like, which ones people are demanding. Like, I've seen people demanding for so many. Like, of course, like, the live-action Spider-Mans to be there. I've seen people demanding Spectacular Spider-Man to be there. Like, we've got a whole list of different Spider-Mans that people want to see.
Yeah, and even though he does appear in the first film, I'm hoping the return of 67 Spider-Man.
Yeah, oh my god.
Even if it's like a cameo, I'd still be he returns.
I hope they just go back to that universe, honestly.
Same here. I'll be down for that.
I want to see that happen. Oh yeah. When it comes to Sony with their Spider-Man films on their own without Spider-Verse or MCU Spider-Man films, they've not made any good Spider-Man films since Spider-Man 2. I mean, I'm excited about Spider-Verse 2, especially after hearing the first 50 minutes of it, but with their upcoming live-action films like Kraven the Hunter, not all that much. To fix this is going to get rid of the writers like the Morbius writers, along with V. Arad as producer, and respect director's vision, and that's it. Okay, yeah, I don't think removing V. Arad will be an option, because, like, that dude is a major staple when it comes to these Spider-Man films, or even with the Marvel movies in general. I don't know how you could get rid of that guy.
No, and he does make a good point, what he said about, like, them interfering with the directors, because that's always been the issue when it comes to like these standalone live action Sony films, because we all know the infamous story about Spider-Man 3 and how that came out to be, because they were pushing for Venom, but Sam Raimi wanted to focus on Sandman, and yeah, that ended up being a mess.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's an enjoyable mess, but still a mess regardless.
For me, it's an absolute guilty pleasure. And I mean,
oh yeah, for sure.
Even the tone of it still stays true with the other Spider-Man films being corny, but I do see the messy part of it.
Right. So, Good times.
Yeah, I'll go and read one more comment before we move on to the next story. It's definitely interesting and cool how so many people are working on both Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse. Well, so far that's just like from what we've heard, that's just for Across the Spider-Verse. Also, I'm willing to believe that the people would be fine with Sony having the film rights to Spider-Man if they weren't so desperate to make their own cinematic universe to compete with the MCU. In my honest opinion, I think that Sony should do kind of what Warner Brothers is doing with DC and make Spider-Man movies that don't have to connect to a big cinematic universe. That could help, actually. That could be helpful to just make your own Spider-Man movies and not like make them standalone and not focus so much on trying to connect everything together, or especially trying to connect with the MCU, because like that's the thing that feels like a bit of a bad taste with these Sony Spider-Man movies, is that they really are riding on the success of the MCU.
Exactly. With the Amazing Spider-Man films, and now the villain film is like, yeah, I totally agree. If they take the Warner Bros. Route and make the standalone films, because I'm loving what DC are doing with their standalone films, would it be like the Joker or the Batman? It's like, yeah, I mean, granted, Batman's going to get a sequel, but it's still its own thing.
Yes.
And I just wish like that's something what Sony should be doing, like cast like new Spider-Man or Spider-Man in this case. But yeah, I just want to take that route as opposed to like, oh, let's make this film about this character that only appeared in like a brief cameo in this one comic or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it could work, but I'll give the MCU credit. It's like when they do like characters like Moon Knight, Guardians of the Galaxy, like these really obscure characters, they go with like the main characters, not so much like the side character. Like, come on.
Yeah. Now let's go and move on to our next story, and we're going to talk about a controversy. Something in which a movie news happened that made a lot of people upset. And Logan, I would like to ask you, have you ever seen Wicked?
I want to, but no. I'm aware of the songs, 2 of the songs, but to see it fully, no. But I really want to. I try to avoid spoilers about that production because I'm hoping there'll be like a production soon around my area, but I want to say, yeah, I want to see it, but no, I have not seen it.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
No, I gotcha. And honestly, the same with me. I want to see it eventually, but I have yet to see it myself. But it doesn't. You don't have to watch Wicked to know what the problem of this is. And what I'm talking about is in regards to the film adaptation. So last week, they have given out a significant update to what's going to be happening with the highly anticipated and long-awaited film adaptation of Wicked. And so far, the most that we've known is just the fact that John M. Chu, who previously directed In the Heights, is going to be the director of this movie. Now, they did reveal who are going to be the main characters, in which they have presented Cynthia Erivo is going to be playing Elphaba, and Ariana Grande is going to be playing Glinda. And that announcement, okay, that's fine. That's pretty cool. I mean, you know, they have proven that they could sing well. But what people are most upset about is how Universal is going to release Wicked, where they're not releasing one movie, they're releasing 2. Yes, they are going to be splitting the Wicked Broadway show into 2 movies, where the first one is going to be coming out on Christmas Day 2024, and the second part is going to be released on Christmas Day 2025. And we have a bit of an explanation from John M. Chu himself, in which he explains, reading from my source on Variety, as it states... As we prepared the production over the last year, it became impossible to wrestle the story of Wicked into a single film without doing some real damage to it. As we tried to cut songs or trim characters, those decisions began to feel like fatal compromises to the source material that has entertained us all for so many years. We decided to give ourselves a bigger canvas and make not just one Wicked movie, but 2. With more space, we could tell the story of Wicked as it was meant to be told, while bringing in even more depth and surprises to the journey for these beloved characters. And one thing that I just want to clarify, when it comes to Wicked, the Broadway show in total is 3 hours long, and that includes a 15-minute intermission. So they're taking that 3-hour show, splitting that into 2 full-length feature films. Now, Logan, I would like to know your thoughts on this.
Maybe instead of defying gravity, we should defy this decision. Okay, anyways.
Of course. You gotta put that joke out there.
But anyways, honestly, I mean, I'm not upset like most people are with this decision. I just find it more odd than anything else because we're seriously bringing this trend back with the 2 films. And the funny thing about this whole thing is like, with the previous story we talked about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that's basically going to be in 2 parts, right?
Well, originally the plan was that Across the Spider-Verse would be released in part 1 and part 2, but it looks like they kind of scrapped that idea, and now, like, we got Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse. But then again, maybe these 2 maybe they will still be, like, 2 movies that will tell one big story.
Gotcha. And the reason why I brought that up is because when they first made that announcement, people didn't really complain about it whatsoever. But when it comes to Wicked, and when they bring back the 2 parts, like that's where like people are starting to get their concerns about it. And honestly, when it comes to this, or like how with the 2 parts thing, it's like, are we living in like 2011 again? Like I thought that trend died back in like 2013. Like I just find that more odd than anything else, because you mentioned before, like the whole show itself is like 3 hours long. There's been films that are like 3 hours long. Why not just make it a 3-hour film? Yeah, you'll have like some people complaining about the length, but at least it'll be 1 film. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they've done that. I mean, like even Les Miserables, like that was a long movie, but they still kept the show intact all at once.
Exactly, yeah. And again, I haven't seen Wicked, so I'm not sure how it's. I mean, I'm aware like what the plot is. But how it was like executed, like certain like plot elements, yeah, I have no idea how it is. So I'm not sure it will work well as like a 1 film or not. But I don't know. I just feel like it's like I said, I'm not like as upset like most people are. I just find that more odd than anything else. So, what's your thoughts?
Well, for me, I do understand under the right circumstances why you need to split a story into 2. Like, a great example is Dune. I get why that has to be in 2 parts, because if you want to do a faithful and good, like, true adaptation to Dune, you got to split that thing into 2, because Dune is a really big book. So, like, to get everything correct, you can't just do it all in just 1 movie. Otherwise, that movie is going to take frickin' forever.
That's fair.
But then there is also, like, yeah, that whole trend you mentioned, like, with stuff like Harry Potter or Twilight or The Hunger Games, like, when they would have their finale, they decided to go and split that into 2 parts. And I feel like that really was just a big trend that Harry Potter has established, and others just want to go and copy it. But nowadays, like, you'd have to really have a good reason creatively to split your movie into 2. Otherwise, as Logan just pointed out, it really does feel like a reason that it's nothing more but for the money, where you're just really stretching it so that you can capitalize it again and again, where it's not just 1 movie that you can have all that major success. And the big reason why I feel like it is so controversial, and honestly, maybe this could be a hot take, but I feel like every time, I feel like every time these film adaptations or these film adaptations to musicals, whenever they want to add something to it, they always come out as the weakest parts of the movie. And I think that's the reason why it's so controversial and why people are so upset of why they've made this decision, because it always happens that, like, you see a film adaptation of whatever, like Les Mis or anything else, like whenever what?
Cats.
Yeah, or Cats or something like that. Whenever they add a new part, it always comes out like as like either unmemorable or just flat out bad. It's just not in, like it just feels like it feels pointless and it feels out of place. Even like for the Disney live action remakes, like, does anybody really remember the songs that are made for those movies? Like, I would say like the best one that they've made is honestly Evermore from the Beauty and the Beast remake. But even that one is kind of like, it just feels really
I agree.
But the rest, honestly, they're just so forgettable. They often feel bland. So I feel like it's just kind of pointless. And especially with what they're doing with Wicked so far, the fact that like they're splitting it into two and they're probably gonna add so much more into it, like they're really gonna go and taint they're gonna taint the Broadway show, because like already with what that has been established, it's been so beloved, like it's so cherished by fans, and the fact that they want to go and extend so much more into it, like I don't see what they could really go and add that can go and like enhance what we have already gotten now with Wicked.
Yeah, and honestly, that's like that's part of the reason why I'm not planning on seeing those films, is because I feel like they're going to be so different to the point where it's like, oh, I don't want this to like affect my viewing of whenever I do get a chance of seeing Wicked. And something that I feel like would have been much more better and probably cheaper is take the Hamilton route and just film the live production of Wicked and sell that to the public. Like, I don't see no issue with that.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I'm surprised that there's not a whole lot of movies that are like, trying to copy that success, because like Hamilton did play a major role in the popularity of Disney Plus right now. And honestly, like maybe Netflix has done it a few times, although like with that Diana the Musical thing, like that was a disaster right there. But
funny enough, I did watch it. Somebody talked about that on YouTube a few days ago, and yeah, wow.
Oh my god, like I remember talking about it before. It's like it's like so marvelous of how disastrous and bad that thing is.
Yeah, but yeah, you think like they'll do more, like just film the live production to like sell to the public, but I get why they wouldn't like do that, especially for shows that are like currently playing. It's because, well, if you're going to do that, then what's the point of like seeing that show in person? And it's like, I don't agree with that, because there's a difference between watching it at home on your TV than watching it live in person. Like, there's a difference in experience.
Oh, yeah.
So, and especially since like if there's not going to have that show play, like let's say in your area, then I mean, what other choice do you have than just like watch it on like on a streaming service? Like, I have no issue with that.
Yeah,
because the last show. Oh, sorry, I was going to say like the last show I saw the last Broadway shows I saw in person was back in 2013 when I went to New York. I saw Phantom of the Opera, Rock of Ages, and of all things, the Spider-Man Broadway show.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I saw that in person, and it's goofy, but thankfully there wasn't no accidents when I saw it, but it was still bizarre. I'll say that much. But
oh my
I'm
god,
glad I saw it in person. Yeah, yay. But anyways, yeah. I mean, there is that chance that people don't have the money to like travel to New York or any place like that just to see a Broadway show like Wicked or all these other popular shows. So it will gear towards, like, if they were to release it on a streaming service, then yeah, that'll gear towards those that couldn't afford it. Because let's see, there's Hamilton. Cats did that not too long ago when that was still in production. Shrek did it with their musical. They released it to streaming.
The SpongeBob musical did that. Like they had a live, like they recorded the show for Nickelodeon and then it came out on DVD.
Yes, that's too. You mentioned Diana, and yeah, you think like they'll do more of that because you're not affecting the story of that production when adapting to the film, because that's how it was originally made with those characters. And yeah, like I said, like once they do take that route and make it into like a feature film, who knows what they're going to change, either for the good or for the bad. Mostly for the bad, but yeah, that's like my expectations for the film adaptation for Wicked are pretty low. Like, will I see it? Probably not. I'd much rather watch the Broadway version first before I see the film. So that's my take. So
And not to mention the fact that people have been waiting years, and I do mean waiting for years for this Wicked adaptation to go and appear. Like, this has been it has been highly anticipated for a long time. And now that we are actually going to have it and they are going to pull this move, like, you're kind of betraying that anticipation. Like, right now, like, the interest for this Wicked movie has significantly dropped. And especially the fact that this is coming from Universal, who did work on the Cats movie. Like, it's just not really a positive sign right there. Like, I can imagine this is going to be the next Cats where it's going to be a downright failure. Like, honestly, I fail to see how this is going to actually help out with, like, to become successful. Like, I can imagine this could end up becoming as much of a flop as Cats. Like, not in terms of the reception, but I could see, like, the interest of it. People are not going to be willing to watch it because it is just going to be a part one.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my expectations are low for this film, and I'm afraid, like, it could do this film dirty if they were. Yeah, releasing it in two parts is a stupid idea. And yeah, like you said, like, people have been waiting to see a film adaptation for this Broadway show for, like, years. And to see, like, I feel like at this point, we gotta watch a trailer for this and see how they're gonna execute it. But yeah, my expectations for this film are very low. I'd much rather just wait to watch it on live, like a live performance of that Broadway show. Even if it's like, okay, no, chances are I won't see it if they do like a high school production, because that'll be weird for me to go to a high school and watch it. Yeah, that'll be weird. But no, I'm just waiting for it to be like, where it'd be like a live production on Broadway. I'd much rather go see that. So,
yeah, if anything for me, I would just wait until, like, it goes on tour and it comes near me, and I'll consider checking it out. Like, that's the most I'll do for now. Like, unless I suddenly go to New York City or anything, I'm not in a major rush to go and, like, see this Wicked adaptation, especially if they're going to do the thing of part one and part two. And I know they're going to really twist the narrative of Wicked to the point that it's going to be completely different. I'm sorry, but I'm just not that interested.
Yeah, that's all I got to really say. So,
yeah. So with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you all feel about this Wicked change? How do you feel about Wicked suddenly being released in two parts? Are you guys anticipated for it? And especially if you are a fan of the Wicked Broadway show, I would love to know your thoughts on this. Okay, let's see now. Splitting Wicked into two movies is the equivalent of making a Gem and the Hologram movies, removing everything about Gem and the Holograms and just retelling the Justin Bieber story. Spoiler alert, it exists and Universal made it as well. I was very excited for this movie because I'm a huge fan of the musical, and while the show is a bit long, so was In the Heights, and not only did the movie stay singular, but the changes they made affected the film positively. My excitement for this movie is no. And I think, like, the comment just stops there.
Oh, hey, put it best, no.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I've heard the songs of Wicked, and I like them, but a two-parter? I don't see it happening. Plus, John M. Chu directing is a massive gamble. On one hand, Jim and the Holograms. We don't talk about that one. On the other hand, he directed In the Heights. So far, that's the best movie of the 2020s. But all I ask of these films, yeah, you can have your two-parter. You can have Ariana Grande in place of Kristen Chenoweth. Just make sure the wizard isn't played by James Corden. Oh God, imagine if they pulled that move. Yeah, like we had enough of James Corden right now.
Yeah, well, he is leaving his show soon, so
yay!
We can only hope. But yeah, they pulled that cast, but they didn't cast Adele Dazeem. Like, come on.
Really? You gotta bring back up Adele really?
Data jokes aside, but no, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Let's
Come
see.
on, we have to make a joke at least once.
Well, like a rare opportunity, you might as well take it.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's see. Oh boy, my younger sister was a huge fan of Wicked, and while she was grown out of the show being her main obsession, I can't imagine it's going well. I could see it going in several ways. The first part will end where the first act show ended with Defying Gravity, and thus the second part will adapt the second act. It's the most obvious decision, but something sounds iffy. The first act is about the developing friendship of Glinda and Elphaba while they're in college and their time skip. Yeah, I don't know. Like again, I haven't seen the show, so I can't really say what they can do with the narrative, and it could most likely be the fact that like they'll like the first one is just going to be Act 1, and the second one is just going to be Act 2. But yeah,
I mean, that kind of makes sense if you think of it that way. But
Still, man, it's just like splitting it into two, though. Like, you gotta wait a whole year for the Act 2. It's just, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah, and that's another thing, too. You mentioned, like, you gotta wait, like, a whole year to see that part 2. It's like, yeah, it gets, I mean, it's not like they're making a sequel from the start. It's like they're basically filming all this all at once, so... Who knows?
Yeah, but then again, you could argue that like the time gap between Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse is like it's June of 2023 and March of 2024. That's like less than a year, and those two are animated features. So like it's hard to find any excuse with what Wicked is trying to pull here.
Maybe with their special effects. Who knows?
Not really. Personally, I've never seen Wicked myself, but I definitely agree that this is a bad idea. Personally, I agree that it just feels like Universal is doing it for profit, and there is not enough material for splitting this into two parts. At least with stuff like It and Dune, there is enough material for splitting it into two parts. However, I still want to give this a chance, considering John M. Chu did a great job with In the Heights, so we'll wait and see. Let's see what else we got. I have not seen Wicked myself, but cutting into two parts is a bad idea. This isn't like Dune or Hunger Games Mockingjay, where cutting it into two parts is okay due to how long the book is, but cutting it into two parts for this is bad, as Universal doing it for the purpose of making money, and if they do something terrible with it, they're going to be a disaster like Dear Evan Hansen, or worse, Razzie Award-winning Cats. Not trusting Universal at this point when it comes to musical adaptations.
Wait, was it Universal that made Dear Evan Hansen?
Evan Hansen? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check.
If that's the case, I was gonna say if that's the case, then yeah, Universal has like a really bad track record when it comes to these adaptations of Broadway shows.
Yeah, they don't have much good luck. So far, their best one is Les Mis, and even at that, Les Mis is kind of like,
yeah, more mix.
Yeah, hold on a sec. Let me just double check. Is that? Would that be Universal? Oh, Schnut. Yes, it is.
Yep, we're doomed.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not looking good so far, people.
Nope.
Right. One more comment before we get into the grand finale of this. Let's see. Who can have it? Oh, okay. Hold on a sec. Have I read that? No, I've read that one. Okay, here. I have seen Wicked in London back in 2009, though it was fine. I'm not a huge fan of the Wizard of Oz franchise in general, but I did like it, and most of my favorites is the 80s Return to Oz. As for the Wicked movie and its decision to split, I don't have too much of an opinion, but why not just have the full movie for HBO Max, just like Zack Snyder's Justice League? Oh well, whatever works fine for the films. I'll check it out when I have the chance. Yeah, even if the movie would turn out to be like 3 or even 4 hours long, the fans are still going to be committed to it. Like, they will still go and watch it. It's just this two-parter thing is going to deter fans because they know they're not going to get the Broadway show that they know and love.
Exactly, yeah. Also, not to nitpick, don't you mean Peacock, not HBO Max, because this film's being made by Universal?
I think he means what HBO Max did with Justice League.
Yeah, you're right. I was being quirky.
Yeah, that's all right, man. But sorry, you were saying?
Oh no, I was gonna say something. Continue. I was mumbling my words.
But with that said, I think now it is going to be time for the grand finale. And with this finale, Logan, this is actually a story that, oh, by the way, before we do continue, there is something that I do need to bring up because everybody is just talking about it. And like, I think I'll be in a lot of trouble if people, if I don't mention this, but you have heard about the news about the Mario delay. Have you, Logan?
Yep, I am aware.
Yeah, like there's not a lot that I could really say. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with Spider-Verse where it does make sense, and like both Nintendo and Illumination wants to make sure they can have the proper time in order to make it work. But anyways, what I am going to talk about actually is something that Logan has suggested, and this is another controversy. This is another controversial thing that happened that sparked backlash on social media. Just out of curiosity, Logan, what is it that interests you with this story in particular?
This is definitely one of those cases where like somebody mentioned on Twitter as like, okay, this is them like complaining or nitpicking about it. It's whatever. I mean, they do make a good point, but at the same time, it's like, it's nothing to like work up about. But what intrigues me the most is how many people are reacting towards this situation, whereas like they take it to a whole level that people who are actually working on this product have to like step in and say something about it. Like I just didn't expect it to get like this huge to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, I got what you mean. And what we are going to be talking about, no, folks, it's not Netflix with all the canceled projects that they're doing. It's actually going to be in regards to this little scene.
My parents really support me in my career. Is your dad supportive of you?
If you give him enough beer and a pair of earplugs and then tell him that he can be in another room, no.
Yes, and that little clip right there is from the brand new Disney Plus short, When Billie Met Lisa, in which it is a 2-minute short in which Billie Eilish meets up with Lisa Simpson, and the whole thing is basically just Billie Eilish making her own version of the Simpsons theme song. And from that clip that you have just seen, where Billie Eilish talks with Lisa in regards to her dad supporting what she does in her music career, it turned out to be quite controversial and received significant backlash, especially from Simpson fans, considering the fact that while Lisa may say that Homer does not support what Lisa is doing with her music, past episodes actually say otherwise, in which like this one tweet here that really went viral. In fact, it got as I'm recording this, about 114.5 thousand likes and just like around 14,000 retweets, including quote tweets. They actually pointed out how Homer actually does have a history of supporting Lisa and her music. Even if it's something that Homer doesn't necessarily understand it, he still supports what Lisa does with her saxophone and her music because he knows that it's what brings her joy. So from there, Logan, I would like to know your thoughts about the matter, like how this has gotten so much backlash, how so many people are talking about it, how like this new Simpsons short is just breaking continuity. Let me know what you think.
Out of all the things to complain about this short in particular, that's what people are complaining about. Like, I mean, I get where they're coming from, but it's one of those cases where it's like, there's so much more you can really like say about this short in particular. But okay, let me put it this way. I get why people are upset with this, and I do see where people are coming from. But at the same time, we're talking about a show that's been on air for like 33 years. They break in so many continuities to the point where I stopped caring at this point. But at the same time, I get where they're coming from because let me ask you this, Matt. Have you seen the current season of The Simpsons or seen some episodes?
To be honest, no. I have heard that the new episodes are starting to get a little bit better than how they used to be, but honestly, I've stopped watching them a while ago.
Yeah, originally I stopped watching The Simpsons like years ago, but but occasionally I'll watch like an episode here and there from like different seasons and all that stuff. But lately, people are saying like, "Oh, The Simpsons have gotten better, or they gotten better than they were used to be." So I got curious. So I log into my Hulu account. I watch all the episodes on season 33, and I granted it's not funny. I mean, it has its moments, but it's not as funny as it used to be. But yeah, they are definitely better than how they were back in a couple of years. Because the best way to describe the current Simpsons now is they definitely have more heart. Like
Okay.
there's like episodes where they tackle like certain subjects, where it's like, yeah, they definitely pull your heartstrings to the point where it's like not to the point where they make you like tearful or anything like that, but you do get like, okay, these are the Simpsons I remember back in like season 2 and 3 and all that stuff. Actually, there's one episode in particular that people are like praising on is the episode where Homer and Marge are like trapped in this forest where they're like stuck there and they get to bond with each other. And this whole episode is dedicated to just those two. Like no other characters appear aside from like Bart and Lisa appearing for like 3 minutes in the opening, but the rest is just Homer and Marge in the forest bonding each other, and it is very sweet. Like if I do recommend like any episode from the current seasons, it's that one. And they did like this Netflix style 2-parter where it's like it's not canon, but the way they execute it is so fascinating that it's definitely worth a watch. Like think like an extended like Treehouse of Horror segment just in 2 parts, and it's really good. Like yeah, if you ever get a chance, I do recommend watching some of the episodes of season 33. But going back to the Billie Eilish thing, the reason why I feel like people are so upset about that is because the way like Homer's been like kind to his family and all this stuff, it just seems like what Lisa said in that short is like a slap in the face to that. And to me, it's like, yeah, I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's like, and people have pointed this out before, there have been moments in the past where Homer doesn't like Lisa playing her saxophone. Like there's been like they've shown examples where it's like Homer would be like, Lisa, cut that record now, or blah blah blah, and all that stuff. It's like it's more like a Homer's reaction towards Lisa playing the saxophone is more mixed than anything else. But yeah, there are the moments where he is very supportive towards her, where he doesn't support her when it comes to that. So it just seems like one of those cases where people are kind of like overthinking this still. Like, is this something really you can really complain about? Because I got a lot more to say about the Billie Eilish short as it is, as opposed to that particular joke per se. But before I say that, I want to know your thoughts about the whole thing.
Honestly, in terms of the whole controversy, I think it is to be expected nowadays that Simpsons has to break continuity. The fact that they've been on television for like so long now that it's kind of impossible to that same continuity as it is before. Like I remember I saw on social media that they've updated Homer's past, where before, like when I used to watch it, they presented Homer like in his college or teen years, like back in the 70s and stuff like that. But nowadays, when they would flash back Homer when like he's in his teens or in his college years, they would show him in the 90s, like with the entire 90s aesthetic. So like time and time, like I know the Simpsons like would just keep on like updating their they would keep on updating their continuity and constantly making things change all the time. So hearing this, honestly, it's not really that much surprising to me. Like, and for me, I just don't really care much about like today's Simpsons anymore. Like for me, like whatever happens in the show, I just feel like it's eh. Like even back during the whole Apu controversy, I didn't really care all that much because it's something that would affect today's Simpsons. Like that is like my hot take on this, honestly, is like it is another over exaggeration, because I do wonder how many of those people are actually still watching The Simpsons and care enough to see Apu in there, because you can't say like, Simpsons has been on TV for too long and then rant about why they should keep about Apu at the same time. You can't do both. You got to pick one or the other. So
exactly.
honestly, with this controversy here, with what Lisa says, it's just eh. Honestly, it's just like, yeah, it's breaking continuity, but really it's just like, so like I like The Simpsons has given up on continuity long ago, so like it's kind of to be expected.
And honestly, going back to like I said about the Apu thing, it's like it's not like they made like an offensive joke there or anything like that. I mean, where there's a point like, yeah, it deserved the controversy. It's more like they offended the lore basically. And unless, I mean, if you're a diehard Simpsons fan, yeah, it can be annoying, but I don't see it as a point where it's like, oh, I'm gonna like yell at the writers for saying that. Or what's that one quote that people throw around like, oh, I hope that like that one Simpsons quote from like that itchy scratchy poochie show, or like that you get that one nerd saying, oh, I hope somebody who made that decision like got fired that blunder or something like that. You know what I'm talking about? It's like it's basically that. It's that, but in real life.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, this isn't like the first time where people do like have a legit problem with the continuity with The Simpsons. I mean, there's that infamous The Principal and the Pauper. You know that episode?
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, that
like apparently Skinner is not Skinner.
Yeah, that one I do understand why people are upset with that, because you're basically doing damage to a character that's been well established for 9 years at this point, and just to throw out that like retcon for literally no reason. Yeah, that is stupid. That I can definitely see where people have like a legit problem with. But with this, it's like it's just a quote. It's just like a gag, a quote per se. But when I heard that, it's like I didn't really think much about it. But the thing that baffles me more about this, like, out of all things to complain about that Billie Eilish short, that's what people are complaining about. Because for me, like this whole Billie Eilish short is like when I first heard news about it, I just viewed it as like, oh geez, it's going to be the Lady Gaga episode all over again, where they're going to glorify this big celebrity in like a positive light, blah blah blah, and I didn't plan on watching it short to begin with because I have no interest in watching it. But for this podcast, I figured, okay, I'm going to at least watch it just to get an idea what to expect out of it. And yeah, it's just meh. I mean, they didn't really do much about it. It's just basically, I can summarize this way. Lisa is trying to find like a place to play her saxophone, but she couldn't succeed. So she went to this bridge of some sorts. And then Billie Eilish literally appears out of nowhere. Here's Lisa playing her sax, took notes of it, took Lisa to the recording booth. They start singing the Simpsons theme with Billie Eilish just like saying like, oh, let's take this song and just like do my own take of it. And the rest is just her singing the theme, and then it ends with her and Lisa sitting in that car, and that's it. That's like 4 minutes kind of wasted.
Well, I mean, it's like 2 or 3 minutes, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, it's like nothing against Billie Eilish or anything like that. I mean, honestly, I'm not that big a fan of her music, but at the same time, it's like you're just basically taking this celebrity and just like celebrating her success in a way, like how people complain about that Lady Gaga episode of The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, for me, there's a right way you can do a celebrity-focused episode, and there's a wrong way of doing so. And to me, while this isn't as bad as the Lady Gaga episode, it's certainly not that great. And yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I gotta add, I don't know about you, but honestly, like, yeah, the show itself is getting a little bit better. But honestly, these Disney Plus cartoons that The Simpsons are doing are just awful. Like, I will admit, like, the Billie Eilish one is not as bad as some of the others. I would take the Billie Eilish one over the 2-year anniversary one they did. Like, that one was just pure cringe. But this one, however, it just feels like pointless. Like, it really is just glorifying a celebrity. And I mean, I know The Simpsons has their history of that, like rather it be with someone like Lady Gaga, or not too long ago with Elon Musk, but with this one, however, is just like, it feels pointless. It just feels like the only reason why they want to do this is because they want to have Billie Eilish sing the Simpsons theme, and that's it. And also, Logan, there's one thing I gotta ask you about the short. Like, and this is only something that happens right at the end. I want to know your thoughts on frickin' this. Do you remember, like, during the credits where you have that one image of The Simpsons with some Disney characters. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. That's out of nowhere. I mean, I get why they went with that route because I kind of expect that with these Disney Simpsons shorts, but it's like, okay. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's like, that's just odd.
Yeah, like it's random, but I gotta say, like, it's just a reminder of how like the Simpsonizing that they keep on doing. Often it just doesn't work. Now, granted, I will say with this one, like there are some that okay, they're fine. Like Ursula and Tweedledee and Tweedledum, they're okay. And then like you also got Goofy, you got Cinderella in the back. And then like you got Gaston, who is like totally Simpsonified. And then there's Minnie. Oh my god, what the fridge have they done to Minnie Mouse? Like,
it looks like they just traced like a stock image of Minnie, but add like that Simpsons lip to her. Like, ew.
Yeah, it's like everything about Minnie is fine. Like Minnie is like they drew Minnie exactly like how we remember her, but then suddenly they have to incorporate that ugly upper lip thing. Like, yeah, like I get it. It's the world of the Simpsons. Everybody needs to have like that overbite, but with Minnie, it just feels like a mutation. It just feels like it's the regular Minnie, except there's like a mouth that's like coming out of her face. It's like,
it's
why?
so bizarre. And it's not just like the Disney characters. Like people also complain like how they don't like how like they characterize some of the newer characters of the Simpsons. Like they try to make them more realistic looking when compared to like the OG characters. Like Billie Eilish, like people complain about like how off-putting she looks, like how she is designed and all that stuff. And also like some like the more like newer characters they would incorporate with the new seasons of the Simpsons. Yeah, they appear more realistic, but still with that Simpsons look when compared to like how they used to look back in like season 1 and 2. Like, have you seen the designs of the background characters in season 1?
Oh yeah! Oh my god, those are legendary. I still remember that infamous like animation mistake where they turned their heads, but the mouth is still over here.
I want to say that's a mistake. That's more like a style choice, but yeah, that is pretty odd. It's just like it's like comparing season 1 to like now. It's like it's like it's not like a big deal or anything like that, but it's just like how odd like when they try to make the characters more realistic in a sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when they go in that route, they start to mesh up and feel a little bit of the same. Like when you look closely, like honestly, how they designed Billie Eilish, it doesn't seem that different than other female celebrities that they would do, or even like compared to like Gaston, for example. Like there's not really that much of a difference that you see like with the real people or how they design with Gaston, or even a better example like you see in the back. Like, okay, like this one is a little blurry. Like, is there that much of a difference that to how they designed Billie Eilish compared to Cinderella? It's like it starts to blend the same. They start to look identical in a sense.
Exactly. But I'll give the Simpsons credit. At least it's not Arthur, how they designed their celebrity guest appearances. Like, do you know?
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, like
Matt Damon.
Yeah, like the fact that they have to turn them into animals, or like, or not really animals. It's just like give them ears and like an animal nose, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like they give them like this realistic body that doesn't match with the character designs, but still give them like the little bunny ears and whatnot. But it's not. Yeah, that's something else. But
oh no.
And actually, really quick, going back to those Disney shorts you mentioned on Disney Plus. Honestly, they're not. I don't think they're as bad as like most people making them out to me. They're just more just like basically commercials of Disney Plus. And I'll be honest. That Disney Plus anniversary short The Simpsons did, I wouldn't mind that so much if they didn't do that dumbass song. Like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they didn't include that song, I feel like the short would have been like a little better. But hey, that's just me.
Or even or like I told you before we started this, like have like some of the actual voices be there. I mean, they have no excuse. Like why not get Bill Farmer to be Goofy? Like, you don't have to get like your original cast to like, you know, get Tress MacNeille to try to be Maleficent or whatever. Like, you know, you got the money, you got the resources, you got the notoriety. Like, why not actually have the actual characters or the actual actors be the voices?
Yeah, because we're literally at the point where they have enough money to have like for the Simpsons, they have like a celebrity guest appearance, make an appearance on every episode. Like, literally, if you go to like the Wikipedia and look up all the Simpsons episodes in the current age, there's like at least one guest star in each episode. Like, they have the money. Like, I mean, I guess it's a short, but still, if you're going to celebrate Disney, go all at it. Get Bill Farmer, get Jim Cumming, get all these people. Like, come on. Come on.
Or no. Or especially get Tony Anselmo, because what the fridge was that Donald Duck?
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
It's like, what is that?
You're choking me. I'm not choking. That's not even close. Like, what?
He sounds like he's just constantly choking, period.
Yeah, I get that's a joke, but it's like, come on. I don't know. It's in the past. It's whatever.
Oh, God. Still, though, man, it's terrible.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what Ralph Breaks the Internet haters see in Ralph Breaks the Internet. That's what they see. They see that Simpsons short.
Yeah, it could have been worse, but oh well. But yeah, overall, with this whole like controversy, honestly, at first, like I said, I thought this was gonna be like this one thing. It's like, oh, somebody on the internet is like complaining about like this little bits that happened in the short, and I figured, okay, it's just somebody like ranting. I get where they're coming from. It's whatever. But I didn't think it would get like this big to the point where it's like people are quote tweeting this. And I remember I saw this one quote tweet that I could be wrong in this, but I think it like is one of like the Simpsons writers who actually did like comment about this. I forget who it was. And I wish I would have like saved that tweet so that way we can go over it. But yeah, he was not having it to the point where he's like made like a thread about this whole situation where he's like, no, you're wrong. Like, Homer always disagreed with like Lisa playing her sax and blah blah blah. And it's like, that's to the point where it's like, okay, I figured I want to mention this to you. Maybe we'll talk more about this because I didn't think it would get this big. Like, my goodness.
Yeah.
All this was like a joke.
Yeah.
Like, not even like an offensive joke. It's just like a joke, quote unquote.
Yeah, and especially not even in an actual episode, like in a Disney Plus short.
Right.
Like, so I don't know, like at the end of the day, it's the freaking Simpsons. Like, yeah, there are some people that still care about it, but for me, like, you know, like they've done this so many times before. I don't see how this one really is that any different, and I don't see this like I don't see this controversy getting this much of a significant impact onto the Simpsons show. Like, we're not going to see them suddenly change or suddenly like try to fix things up for the fans. Honestly, it's just
this isn't the Apu controversy. It's nowhere near as close as that.
I think this is just a case where like I agree with you. I feel like this is overblown. All right, so with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall, and I want to know, what do you think about this entire Simpsons controversy with the when Billie meets Lisa short? Do you guys think this is overblown? Do you guys think it's justified to be angry about this? Let me know what you think now. Let's see. I have not seen the Billie Eilish short myself, but I do get the controversy. The continuity part, I get why, but I'm more concerned about how this is another Disney Plus short that is nothing but commercialized Disney properties. I'm honestly surprised they made another look what they massacred to my boy, oh I mean girl, to Minnie, as she looked ugly with her mouth. Look, another Disney Plus short that is destined to make us cringe, right? Yeah, I think honestly, I would say that shot of Minnie is much more memorable than like the controversial quote.
Pretty much, yeah. And yeah, Billie Eilish does have her like concert movie on Disney Plus, so I get why they wouldn't make that shorts, but it's still like,
Yeah, I haven't watched The Simpsons for a very long time, but I can easily, I can easily see how a lot of fans get really upset about what Lisa said. From what I've researched, however, I would say that it isn't really true that Homer is fully supportive of what Lisa likes. The best example would be the episode Make Room for Lisa, where it shows that while Homer may not like the things Lisa are into, he does love her enough to take her to places that only she would enjoy. Yeah, but then again, like, I guess you could also make the counter argument of the fact that, like, even though Homer does that for him, like, Lisa is kind of showing disrespect to Homer. Like, I think that's what the whole controversy is about, the disrespect towards Homer.
Yeah, and it's not like the first time she ever really did disrespect Homer in like different ways, but it's like, I mean, like I said, like, I mean, they're a family. Like, they're going to have like their disagreements and whatever. But if it comes to a point where if she does like come like disrespectful towards Homer, like I get like she's the brains of the family, but to go to like that length, yeah, I can definitely see where people will have to because Lisa is definitely like the least popular of the Simpsons family. So I get where people are coming from with that, but there's improvement at some points where Homer and Lisa do get together, and it's just going back what you said, like the whole like continuity thing. Like, yeah, some writers will pay attention to continuity, but for the most part, not really. And I can't really blame him because 33 seasons, it's hard to keep track.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Honestly, when a show like The Simpsons goes on for more than 30 seasons, it is very much expected that it will break continuity, so I don't see why people are getting so angry and upset about this. Also, Matt and Logan, I just had to ask, what do you think is the best season of The Simpsons? I asked that because I actually haven't had that many episodes of the show. I'm just curious of seeing what people consider to be the best season of a show that was more than 30 seasons and that has been going on since 1989. Man, I don't know which one specifically, but I would say going from like season 3 to season 10, maybe? I don't know. Like that's just like an on the spot guess that I would make.
For me, I do like the seasons 2 through, I want to say 15. And that's mainly because with like seasons like 13 through 15, 16 is more of a guilty pleasure for me because those are the seasons I actually did grow up with.
Okay.
But if I would choose my personal favorite season, hands down, season 4. I love that season. It's definitely like where I feel like the jokes land every single time I watch like an episode. Like if I gotta choose my personal favorites of that season, it'll definitely be the classic Marge versus Monorail. And my other favorites would be like Selma's Choice, Brother from that one episode where they do like the Big Brother thing. I forget the name of the episode. But yeah, all the episodes, oh my God, like from beginning to end, they're just like laugh out loud hilarious. And I love every single joke they throw into it. Like that's a season where every time I go back to, I always get a laugh out of it. Last Exit at Springfield. That's another great episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one. All right, I'll read one more comment before we cap this off. I don't care about that controversy. The only thing I see from the new season is when Bill Cipher made a cameo that I tweeted about that turned out to blow up, surprisingly. Even with that being said, it just doesn't surprise me when people like to complain about the continuity about a show that's been going on for years. It's like the controversy of the SpongeBob continuity. Like, they don't follow continuity at all. It's just weird. Yeah, like with, what was it, Camp Coral. Like that whole controversy.
Yeah.
Like,
and I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say I remember like the last time. I think it was like the last time I appeared, not counting that Disney animation look back. We did talk about like Camp Coral. I did mention that that didn't really bother me as much because SpongeBob is a show that really doesn't care about continuity.
Yeah.
Like Simpsons. I'll give Simpsons credit that they do care sometimes. But SpongeBob, continuity doesn't exist for them. I mean, they'll throw in like a minor reference here and there in the newer seasons, but for the most part, they just like break all continuity.
I mean, it's a show where fire commonly appears underwater. So, like, why would continuity even be a thing in the show?
Exactly, yeah. So it's not that big a draw for me. But, and really quick, going back to what he said about Bill Cipher, that one, not gonna lie, that one I was disappointed with because people were like hyping that up. It's like, oh, Bill Cipher's gonna make an appearance in The Simpsons, blah blah blah. Oh, he's gonna make it a cameo. But that cameo only consists of like one line of dialogue, and it's like his scene only lasts for like 3 seconds. Like, why build that up? Like, come on.
Why even have the hype? Seriously.
Exactly. Like, oh well, it's whatever.
Yeah. But with that said, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Logan, I'm sorry for what happened at the start with that opening. Like, yeah, that was pretty messy there. But I'm glad we managed to make it through this entire show, and it was definitely fun.
Oh yeah, lots of fun, indeed. We got like lots of things to say about it. And yeah, lots of opinions shared, had a good time. It's always a great time being part of this podcast.
Yes, and by the way, before we go, is there, if people want to go and follow you more, where is it that they can go and follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter under ToucanLDM. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, also ToucanLDM. Yeah, if you love like fun little animations that parody like the likes of My Little Pony or Smash Brothers, you can watch my channel. But I am at the point where I'm moving on with my content. I'm not going to say much at the moment, but I will say this: expect more original animations as opposed to like parodying existing IPs. But again, not saying much at the moment. Still a work in progress. So it'll be a little while, but I'm going to try to be at least somewhat busy on like Twitter, and maybe I'll throw in like a few things on my YouTube channel, but we'll see when the time comes.
All right.
But yeah, for now, it's going to be a surprise.
All right, good. So with that said, I would like to say thank you all so much for watching. And by the way, thank you all so much for the fact that we have now made it to 1,000 followers on my Twitch channel and also 3,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for that. And also tune in next time for more fun-filled moments happening on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Hopefully not another technical error like we did at the opening. So with that said, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.
Adios.